Konoha, Reviving Senju, starting with Concubines. Author, Vortex. Chapter 76. Fourth Hokage Senju Tsunade. Cut the leaks of the whole ninja world. Subscribe. Location of Fourth Hokage. I don't mix anything more, it's not the material of this piece. I opt out. With the voluntary withdrawal of Shimura Danzo, soon, Jiraiya also gave up the opportunity to be the fourth Hokage. He was born as a commoner. Learned from Mount Myoboku in third Hokage, summoning 3 holy lands. Learn Sage Mode, and in the second and third Ninja World Wars, have excellent performance, at least much better than a certain Shimura Danzo who can only lose. His life story. It can almost be said that the civilian ninja is determined to pass on. But everyone has his own ambitions. Jiraiya has always been used to a free life. After the war, he still wanted to go to various places to collect materials and perfect his intimate paradise. As for the position of Hokage, seeing how the old man of the third generation worked so hard every day, he was not very interested. Jiraiya, you heard the words. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly showed a look of astonishment. I'm not interested in Hokage, third generation old man. Okay, I won't force you. Hear Jiraiya's words. Sarutobi Hiruzen could only sigh silently. Chi. Originally, before the start of the Third Ninja World War, he planned to let his favorite disciple, Orochimaru, take his place. But, accompanied by the deduction of war, Orochimaru's behavior became more and more weird, and he began to pursue the illusory immortality. For this reason, he not only got together with Denzo secretly, but even started human experiments. Even Orochimaru is doing it very secretly. But he couldn't hide it from Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. Certainly, as his apprentice. In the end, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't make up his mind to kill relatives, but chose to turn a blind eye and close one eye. Coupled with the need for cage-level combat power during the war, it was even more impossible for him to go to East Orochimaru. Only, the position of fourth Hokage basically has nothing to do with him. Shimura Danzo and Jiraiya withdrew. Orochimaru basically had no chance, leaving Senju Tsunade and Namikaze Minato as the final candidates. One is the granddaughter of first Hokage, the princess of the Land of Fire, with a strong root and top medical ninjutsu on the Cloud Shinobi battlefield. It also saved many Konoha Shinobi from the fire and water. Defeated third Raikage and Four Tails Jinchuriki head-on, ending the war by himself. One is the up-and-comer Gold Flash, who masters space-time ninjutsu. Can compete with Cloud Shinobi's ab combination. In the war with Rock Shinobi, he also showed his crushing strength. The record of 50 enemy Jonin in an instant is still familiar to this day. These two people, one is his apprentice, one is his own grandson. Strictly speaking, they are all from their own lineage. But, they all have a deep connection with that guy Senju Starry Night. Senju Tsunade is that guy's wife, and she doesn't care about her teacher at all. If she is asked to choose between the teacher and her husband, then Tsunade will definitely choose Senju Huang'ai without hesitation. Namikaze Minato has received the favor of that guy, but because of the fetters of the master-student relationship, at least he can maintain a neutral attitude. So, after some calculations, thoughts by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo. In fact, they all feel that it is better to let Namikaze Minato take over the position of fourth Hokage. Since Jiraiya, Shimura Danzo have quit. Then, I announce that the fourth Hokage candidates are Senju Tsunade, Namikaze Minato, Orochimaru. Voting has officially begun. My ticket, hang on Namikaze Minato. He has always possessed cage-level strength at a young age, and he has made countless contributions in this Ninja World War. Under his leadership, the future Konoha will definitely achieve greater glory. Supported by third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Naturally, it is also to let people in his department know what to do. Mitokado Homura and Utatane Koharu also voted for Namikaze Minato as fourth Hokage without hesitation. Including Shimura Danzo. He knew Orochimaru was out of the question. The position of fourth Hokage, in the final analysis, is a choice between Senju Tsunade and Namikaze Minato. Instead of letting Senju become fourth Hokage, it is better to let Namikaze Minato be Hokage. This guy is still young, easy to fool. The Jonin of the Hokage family, the patriarch of the family, also voted for Namikaze Minato sporadically. I think so. Tsunade is better suited for the position. Minato is still young after all, and there is room for better development in the future. It is not much better to polish his strength and reach the top than to sit in Hokage's office all day. If he serves as the fifth Hokage, I have no opinion, and I even support it with both hands and feet. And, Konoha led by first Hokage, second Hokage. It can be said to be a prosperous place. Not all cats and dogs dare to touch porcelain. Only the third generation has a little problem. I believe that if Tsunade, the granddaughter of the first generation, takes over the position of Hokage, it will definitely be able to regain its glory peak. My vote goes to Tsunade. Senju Starry Night, who has been silent. At this moment, he stood up slowly, and the heavy power exuded from his body made people involuntarily turn their eyes over. It's here. What he sent over was not just a wood clone, but Senju Starry Night, his real body. Cage-level peak strength. Looking at Konoha as a whole, that's also one of the best. After he spoke out in solidarity, and took the initiative to cast a vote representing the Senju patriarch of the forest. In Yuzuka, Yamanaka, Kurama, Nara, Akamaki, and the Hyuga clan, who are friends with Senju, who are Senju's affiliated families, also chose to recommend Senju Tsunade to become 4th Hokage. Certainly, there are also many common jonin who have received the favor of Senju. All of a sudden, Senju Tsunade's votes also took a turn for the worse, quickly overtaking Namake's Minato. This is enough to suppress Hokage's appeal. It is estimated that only Senju Starry Night can do it. Watching the soaring votes of the two, Orochimaru, who was almost unharvested, also had a dark face at the moment. Although he was mentally prepared long ago, who would have thought that he would be in such a miserable situation? Teacher Sarutobi did not support himself, but instead supported Jiraiya's apprentice, and Danzo, that bitch. Well said at the beginning. If he's hopeless, back yourself up. As a result, he didn't even discuss it now, so he threw himself aside. Wait until everyone has cast their votes. Finally, with the victory of Senju Tsunade, the curtain of the 4th Hokage election has come to an end. This is the mighty momentum of Senju, which Sarutobi, Hiruzen, Shimura, Danzo and others cannot resist. It is naturally the best thing to be able to take over the command of the entire Konoha by peaceful means. The result is set. The position of 4th Hokage will be succeeded by Senju Tsunade, and the handover ceremony will be scheduled in half a month. Before the Hokage handover ceremony begins, I will inform the Fire Nation daimyo of Senju Tsunade's succession as 4th Hokage. Have no choice. Sarutobi Hiruzen finally announced the result. Despite doing nothing, Senju Tsunade has won the support of the vast majority of Konoha shinobi fans. It's logical. Became the 4th Hokage, in charge of power. To be honest, Senju Tsunade is not the kind of person who abandons personal interests because of public affairs. Based on the idea that he has power, he doesn't need to be a bastard, and he ignores Hokage's privileges. Isn't he a fool? When Sarutobi Hiruzen was in charge, the development of Senju still needed to be limited. Now Senju Tsunade is in charge. Excuse me. Starting today, Trapped Leaf Hidden Village is my word. Who is for and who is against? It's useless to object, just blow your head off. The only thing that makes Senju Tsunade feel heartbroken is that before the start of the Third Ninja World War, Sarutobi Hiruzen borrowed a large sum of money from himself in the name of Hokage, which was used for the village to prepare for the war. Money. As a result, my daughter-in-law is now Hokage. He can't ask his wife for this money, because it's difficult for his family, right? That is more than 20 billion with profit, although it is only 1/10 of Senju's current industry. But, who hates too much money? I didn't think of such a thing at the beginning, and I knew I wouldn't borrow the money. I wanted to cut the leaks of that old monkey Sarutobi Hiruzen. Now it's making me lose a lot of blood. No, this trademark must be cut back from Konoha, as well as compensation for other defeated countries. Now that the war is over, we have to open the Senju real estate to other ninja villages to cut leaks together. In 2.3, the whole ninja world will become house slaves, so we can continue to grow bigger and stronger. Senju Star Yoruichi contemplates. Although I lost a small amount on the loan I borrowed, it should be regarded as assistance for my own infrastructure. After all, now the whole of Konoha has the surname Senju. Every plant and tree here belongs to one's own home, and it's nothing to spend some money on development and construction. This is the mentality change from a merchant to a lord. And after the ninja war is over, it seems that I have more ways to make money. One Konoha's real estate leaks made me fat. Wouldn't it be nice if it was connected with the other 4 major ninja villages and some leaks from small and medium ninja villages? Not only that, there is also the collection of indemnities from the defeated countries. He is not a bad writer. He will not accept compensation, and he wants to show the grandeur of a big country. Chapter 77 Senju Starry Night's Benefit Policy. Open Ninjutsu Learning. Subscribe. Half a month later, the succession ceremony of the 4th Hokage was also held as scheduled. The Hokage gowns of the past dynasties were all made by an old lady who is now 100 years old and can be regarded as a veteran of the 4 dynasties. Although it looks trembling, it seems that it may be blown down by a gust of wind at any time. But let's talk about making Hokage robes. She was able to become refreshed again, as if it were the most valuable thing in her life. When I was young, I also made Hokage robes for Lord Hashirama. Things have changed. I never thought it would be Lord Hashirama's granddaughter to take the position of Hokage. Old, Tala. However, please rest assured, Master Tsunade, although I am a very old woman, there is absolutely no regression in the craftsmanship of making Hokage gowns, and I guarantee you the best quality. 11. This centenarian grandma, he kept chanting in his mouth, lamenting how quickly the years go by. At the same time, many craftsmen. I am also rushing to work on the Hokage rock of Senju Tsunade. Certainly, for Senju Starry Night come 21 lectures. During this period of time, he worked hard every day for the revival of Senju, and never slack off. As for Konan, after knowing that Shimura Danzo returned to the village, she is even more afraid to take half a step out of Senju's garrison. As soon as the front foot leaves, the back foot will definitely be caught. Senju Tsunade only guarantees her safety in Senju, but has no obligation to keep her safe outside. After all, the relationship between the two just met by chance. Unless she is willing to become his concubine, Senju and I will take the initiative to protect Conan's safety. Let's go, Tsunade. The succession ceremony of the fourth Hokage is about to begin. In the past 2 days, I have worked overtime and provided many suggestions for Konohagakure's future development. Just take this opportunity to release it. Clothed with a hurry engraved with the clan crest of the Senju clan, Senju Tsunade held a piece of parchment in his hand, with densely written words written on it. And Senju Tsunade, who was wearing the fourth Hokage robe, also put the Hokage hat on his head, and the two walked side by side, preparing to go to the ceremony. Hokage's succession. This matter is very solemn throughout Konohagakure, up to Konoha's senior management, the patriarchs of the major families, and down to the common people in common. They all took to the streets at this moment. The Senju patriarch of Senju, Senju Starry Knight, fourth Hokage, Senju Tsunade, be the two of them, appears on the throne of the Hokage succession ceremony. In an instant, they became the focus of the audience. Whether it is their strength or reputation, they are the top existences in the entire Konohagakure. Where the leaves of the trees dance, so does the fire. As long as there is a tree leaf dancing, the fire will burn. The shadow of the fire will shine on the village, and let new leaves germinate. This is the will to sacrifice and inherit. I believe that under the leadership of fourth Hokage, Konohagakure will reach a higher peak and bring everyone prosperity together. On this occasion, third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally wouldn't deliberately find fault. After all, no matter how bad the master-student relationship is, Senju Tsunade is also his apprentice after all. And now it is the succession ceremony of the fourth Hokage. If you destroy it at this time, you will definitely receive malicious attacks from Senju Tsunade. At that time, it will be bad if you don't protect yourself at the end of the festival. But Papa, after Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice fell, there was an extremely warm applause at the scene. Except for a very small number of people, almost the vast majority of Konohagakure's civilians, ninjas, welcome Senju Tsunade to inherit this position. Next, proceed to the Hokage handover ceremony. Tsunade, the village will be handed over to you from now on. Sarutobi Hiruzen exhaled slowly. Removing the Hokage position gave him mixed feelings. On the one hand, the loss of power made him a little bit reluctant. After all, Hokage, who had been a Hokage for 30 years, suddenly returned to a white body overnight, and the sense of gap was a bit big. On the other hand, he has also let go of his responsibilities. He does not need to be in his 50s to consider how to deal with the affairs of the other 4 great ninja villages. Oh, long live Master Tsunade, long live Lord Starry Knight, long live Senju. Thunderous applause, cheers one after another, and cheers from all present. It resounded through the whole Konoha. At this moment, Konoha ushered in the era of the fourth Hokage. Shimura Danzo in the audience can only look at Senju Tsunade wearing a Hokage robe with envy and hatred at this moment. This is the position he wanted originally, but the third generation does not have his share, nor does the fourth generation. Light is ambitious. There is no matching strength. This is doomed. Shimura Danzo is just a clown-like existence. Soon, becomes Senju Tsunade a fourth Hokage. He also took the parchment handed over by Senju Tsunade and began to read the contents on it. From today on, in order to improve the overall strength of the village, in addition to secret techniques and forbidden technique, D-level ninjutsu and C-level ninjutsu are open to all ninjas in the village. Whether you are born as a commoner or a family, you can learn them. After reaching the strength of Chunin, you can read all B-level ninjutsu. After reaching Jonin's strength, you can read all A-level ninjutsu. After reaching Kage level strength, you can read all S-level ninjutsu. For Senju Starry Knight, all ninjutsu below S rank, even those of Rasengan and Chidori, are meaningless. For the heirs of his family, it is also ordinary, because they all have their own talents. So, open ninjutsu learning directly. It is the best choice to improve the comprehensive strength of the village. Although this broke the ninjutsu monopoly of some families and would offend their core interests, Senju Tsunade is not a timid person. Whoever dares to jump out at this time, he dares to directly make an example of others. And Kage level combat power. It is almost a village with the highest level of 430 powerhouses, and it is no problem to read the mess level ninjutsu. Really? Really? I'm a Chunin, but now I only know 2 C-level ninjutsu. It's really embarrassing. Without family inheritance, unless we civilian ninjas make great contributions, otherwise, we will have no chance to learn more advanced ninjutsu. I, Akazuki Xiosn, will follow Master Hokage to the death. I, Makoto Ito, will follow the example of Mr. Tsunade. Once this policy is published, it directly caused an uproar, and the civilian ninjas in Konohagakure were directly excited. They expressed that they would dedicate their lives to fourth Hokage Senju Tsunade. At the same time, this also made some branch house ninjas feel dissatisfied. In their opinion, in this way, the gap between you and them will be greatly shortened. But, forced by the power of Senju and fourth Hokage, they can only suppress this dissatisfaction in their hearts, and dare not jump out at this time. Jump out at this time. That is no different from giving away the head for free, and they are not fools. Chapter 78 Research Minister Orochimaru. The loyal support of 3 Kage levels. Subscribe. What? Open ninjutsu learning? How dare Tsunade, This is a way to shake the stability of the village. Sarutobi, why don't you take care of it and just let your apprentice mess around like this? Here the benefit policy promulgated by Senju Tsunade, Shimura Danzo, the patriarch of the Shimura family and head of the root, was the first to sit still. This obviously endangered his interests. Even Mitokado Homura of Hokage advisors, Yutate Koharu, Uchiha Fugaku of the Uchiha clan, are starting to jump on their feet. Originally they planned to look at Senju Tsunade as young, and wanted to use Hokage's status as a consultant to take away her power, but as a result, Hokage began to cut flesh on them after taking office. If this continues, what's wrong to this? Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at his old teammates. This kind of thing, what can I say to myself now? He has retired and is no longer a Hokage. Let's leave this to the young people themselves, and I won't get involved so much. You'll regret it, Fly. Now Tsunade is Hokage. If you have any opinions, please ask her. These dogs. I kept urging myself to resist damage, when I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, had something wrong with my brain. With this ability, why don't you go to Senju Starry Night to ask yourself? If you are afraid, be afraid. Don't have so much and nothing. And take a step back and say, I have nothing to regret. Now Senju Tsunade is the Hokage, and you Shimura Danzo are just guys who can't even make the Hokage shortlist. Shimura Danzo looked gloomy. This Sarutobi is becoming more and more cowardly, which has touched the interests of their family. To be able to maintain a silent attitude, the third Hokage for so many years has been in vain, and even his own apprentice can't be disciplined well. What use is there for you? Certainly. For ninjas of civilian origin like Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato. This is definitely a very favorable proposal, and I will choose to hide it without hesitation. And this is just the beginning. Senju Tsunade didn't stop what he was reading. From today on, all residences, villas, apartments, office buildings, large shopping malls, hospitals, roads and other facilities in Konoha Kyutoda. Why? Unification is exclusively undertaken by Senju Real Estate. Although the cost is a bit higher, it is also of the best quality and opened the ninja assessment mechanism. In addition to the fixed basic salary, the comprehensive reward commission will be calculated according to the number and level of tasks you complete. For diligent ninjas, this will earn more money. For lazy ninjas, at best, this will only ensure that you don't starve to death. The top 3 ninjas in the monthly assessment will receive 1 million kills, as well as scroll rewards for secret techniques and forbidden technique. The last 10 ninjas who have not been evaluated will be lowered by 1 position level. Jonin will lose Chunin, Chunin will lose Genin, and Genin will cancel the ninja status. 1-up. Senju Starry Night intends to completely monopolize Konoha's construction industry. This can also be regarded as using Hokage's power to seek convenience for the development of the Senju family. At the same time, in order to prevent some ninjas from stealing and playing tricks, the great cause of not letting yourself cut leaks, Senju Tsunade also decided to introduce a disgusting assessment system. Let them all be involved in each other, and give me all the hard work. At the same time, I'm also going to start professional ninja army training. On weekdays, many people are crossing the river by feeling the stones and practicing behind closed doors. This is an unacceptable behavior, and the progress is very slow. I propose that Marushi Kosuke, Chen Bojun, and Might Dai be the Genin mentors, who will be responsible for Genin cultivation. Jiraiya, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Namikaze Minato are the instructors of Chunin, who are in charge of Chunin practice. Senju and I are Jonin mentors, who are responsible for Jonin's cultivation. Open ninjutsu practice. It is a way to improve combat effectiveness. Intensive training by professional instructors is also very important. Marushi Kosuke, Chen Bojun, Might Dai et al. They are all gymnasts, perfect for grounding genins. Because genin's chakra is too small, it is generally impossible to release a few ninjutsu, so most of them still rely on physical skills to determine the winner. Jiraiya, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Namikaze Minato are ninjutsu masters. Arrived at Chunin, you have a certain amount of chakra. It can release a certain amount of ninjutsu, so you can also focus on ninjutsu as your training goal. As for saying, ninjas at the Jonin level are the high-level combat power of a village. Senju Tsunade also intends to cultivate as many combat powers of this level as possible, and let them be used by Senju, so he also plans to send a wood clone to teach, and let Senju Tsunade serve as the nominal mentor. In this way, if you dare to oppose us, you will be treasonous and deceitful. This move has been used by many people in a certain world. Orochimaru, you are in charge of serving as the director of Konoha's scientific research department, specially responsible for the research and improvement of technology. I will not prevent you from using human experiments, because when learning medical ninjutsu, you also need to dig open the corpse to observe the internal structure. But people who cannot use Konoha cure. Senju Tsunade set his sights on Orochimaru, said slowly. Heard the words. Orochimaru was slightly taken aback. In the era when ninjutsu was prevalent, technology was not recognized by almost everyone, and only he, a science madman, would be addicted to it and enjoy it forever. Even some human experiments are tabooed by everyone. But now Tsunade has allowed himself to specialize in scientific research, and can also perform human experiments. For Orochimaru, it was a pleasant surprise, so that let him forget the shadow of Hokage's competition failure. Thank you, Tsunade, Kusanai-kun. Stick out your long tongue. Licking the corner of his mouth, Yunzai said excitedly. It's not a big deal that people from Konoha can't be used for experiments. The whole ninja world is so big, where can't find live materials. It's just a matter of spending a little more effort. Before, I can only do it secretly. Now, he can do it openly. This is called doing things according to order, and there is no fear at all. Behind him stands 4th Hokage Senju Tsunade. As long as Tsunade doesn't fall, he can continue the experiment. Kusanai, is it really all right? Don't worry, Orochimaru has a sense of proportion, and his scientific research ability may be able to bring us some unexpected surprises. Facing Senju Tsunade's whispered concerned question, Senju Kusanai smiled slightly, saying that he didn't have to worry. Did Zhao, so much familiar with the development of ninja plot? It can be said that he knows everyone's life experience, ability and specialty like the back of his hand. Allowing Orochimaru to focus on scientific research and technology will definitely allow Konohagakure's technological level to usher in explosive growth. This is definitely a matter where the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and this is a small appointment, enough to draw Orochimaru to their service. As a result, Jiraiya, Namikaze Minato, and Orochimaru all turned over to the 4th Hokage's command, and Sarutobi Hiruzen's family can be said to be truly lonely, and there is no trouble. As a Chunin instructor, responsible for cultivating more talents for Konohagakure. Chapter 79. Watch me do it later. Senju Tsunade's foreshadow succession ceremony was officially over with the final appointment of personnel, but Senju Tsunade, as Hokage, went straight to her first job. That is to sign a peace treaty. As a victorious country, Konohagakure will naturally show the demeanor of a victorious country, and take Konohagakure as the place to sign the treaty. It just so happened that Senju Tsunade succeeded 4th Hokage, and all the other 4 hidden villages sent envoys to congratulate and talk about the conditions of the peace talks. Of course, as a good buddy of Senju Starry Night, Cloud Shinobi Village directly came here in person. The other 3 major ninja villages all sent their envoys. A visitor is a guest. The newly promoted 4th Hokage naturally did not entertain the guests of the 4 great ninja villages at the outside succession ceremony. It would appear impolite. The place to receive guests is naturally the living room of the Hokage building. The fastest 3rd Hokage rushed directly into the living room. As soon as I entered the door, I saw Senju Kusanai was also in the living room. Seeing a good brother who is close to life and death, 3rd Hokage suddenly smiled. Good brother, long time no see. Coming up is a warm hug, and the experience is solid. If Senju Kusanai's body had not reached sage body, he might not be able to bear this passionate hug. I didn't expect you to come here in person. Why didn't you say something before you came? 193 inches. If I had known that you would come, I would have arranged the highest standard of reception, so that you would never feel uncomfortable. Senju Kusanai pretended to be dissatisfied and said. 3rd Hokage burst out laughing. It's my fault, haha, we brothers must find a place to have a good drink later. This is a younger brother and sister, right? I couldn't say hello to each other on the battlefield before, so I really neglected being a big brother. In the evening, I will punish myself with 3 cups to compensate you. Senju Tsunade also nodded with a smile on his face. She can sit on Hokage, 3rd Hokage, and Lao's acting skills can be said to be indispensable. Too polite. We are all a family. Why are you polite? Jinai and Daily just gave birth to 2 healthy boys for your husband a while ago. You, a matchmaker, must go and have a look. Senju Tsunade said with a smile all over his face. Hearing this news, 3rd Hokage's face suddenly revealed a joyful smile. Marina and Ariel were handed over to Senju Kusanai by 3rd Hokage, and now they are very happy to hear such good news. This also represents the deepening of the relationship between the 2 parties. What a great news. Worth a good drink. 3rd Hokage couldn't help laughing, and then congratulated. I haven't congratulated my siblings for getting the Hokage position yet. Now that there are siblings here, as long as our 2 families join forces, no one in the entire ninja world will be our opponent. Senju Kusanai heard what 3rd Hokage meant, and said with a smile, that's natural. However, I want to develop Senju's business in Cloud Shinobi Village. What do you think? Of course it's good. When 3rd Hokage heard it, his eyes lit up. I have been long heard that Senju's real estate has the effect of improving chakra extraction. Although it is weak, it is this kind of accumulation that can gradually create a gap. 3rd Hokage even doubted that there would be so many excellent talents in Konoha Shinobi, all from Senju's property. Therefore, for the Senju industry of Senju Starry Night to settle in Cloud Shinobi Village, 3rd Hokage naturally welcomes it with both hands and feet. Then it's settled. But brother, you have to give me a discount, otherwise we may not be able to afford it. Don't worry, there will definitely be discounts. How could you cheat my big brother? Senju Kusanai waved his hand and said boldly, as long as you are a member of Yu's family, you will have a 5% discount when you buy Senju real estate, and you can earn as much as you buy. Then brother, thank you, brother. Talking and laughing, The two villages have reached an agreement. Senju Starry Night is also very happy for its own industry to go abroad. This means that many leaks in Cloud Shinobi Village are waving. CBFH hands at him with banknotes. He believed that his corner boss would be so happy that he couldn't sleep. After discussing business, Senju Starry Night invited third Hokage to sit aside. Brother, rest for a while. After we finish our work here, let's go have a good drink. If we don't get drunk today, we won't go home. Third Hokage sat down immediately. No problem. The next step is to entertain the envoys from the other three hidden villages. At this time, the three messengers of Iwagakure, Iwagakure and Tsunade are coming together. The messenger of Iwagakure looked relaxed, the messenger of Iwagakure was expressionless, and the messenger of Tsunade had a bitter face. Three people showed a different attitude. At the same time, they also carry their own tasks. Seeing the expression on the face of the Tsunade messenger, the Iwagakure messenger said carelessly, "Don't be frowning, just ask for compensation after entering." As soon as these words came out, Messenger Tsunade and Messenger Iwagakure all looked at Messenger Iwagakure in surprise. The Tsunade messenger said cautiously, "Well, I remember that we should be the loser, right? So what? Shouldn't we be the ones to pay the compensation?" "Of course not. According to what our master Tsuchikage said, Sarutobi Hiruzen, that bastard, as long as he doesn't pay, he will continue to fight, and Sarutobi Hiruzen will obediently pay for the delivery. But now it's Senju Tsunade as Hokage." "It's the same. Isn't Senju Tsunade also a disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen? The two are in the same line, and they must have the same attitude." "This is unlikely, right? Shout, you two cowards, watch me operate when you get in. I'm sure it will open your eyes." The messenger of Iwagakure said nonchalantly, pushed open the door of the reception room and walked in. After entering, he didn't even pay attention to anyone inside, so he just spoke. "Master Hokage, please compensate our village 1 million plus for various damages, otherwise we will never agree to this peace talk." "Okay, let's keep fighting." Instead of hearing the expected voice of Senju Tsunade, he heard a man's voice instead, which directly stunned the Iwagakure messenger. He looked up and saw Senju Tsunade sitting in the main seat, and on his right was a handsome man. It was this handsome man who spoke. "Your Excellency must be the patriarch of the Senju clan, right?" Although the messenger of Iwagakure has never seen the Senju Starry Night, he has also heard of the legendary that is circulating in the rivers and lakes. So after seeing Senju Tsunade's unsurpassable appearance, he immediately recognized Senju Tsunade's identity. "Yes, I am." Senju Tsunade nodded, crossed his hands in the middle of the crowd, and posed the signature pose of Commander Kagami. Chapter 80. This is different from what was promised. Master Tsuchikage. "Your Excellency, think about it. If the war continues, Gaikun will suffer more losses, right?" The Iwagakure messenger seemed to be convincing, but when he looked up and saw Senju Tsunade's half-smiling eyes, he couldn't say what he wanted to fool. "Go on," Senju Tsunade said with a sneer. "Do you think if you continue to fight, who will be beaten first? Is it Iwagakure who has only Onoki alone, or Konoha who has cage-level powerhouses such as Senju Tsunade, Namikaze Minato, Jiraiya, Orochimaru?" Beads of sweat emerged from the forehead of the Iwagakure messenger. "This is different from what was promised, Master Tsuchikage." The messenger of Iwagakure shouted wildly in his heart, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. The situation was beyond his control. "Since Iwagakure doesn't intend to negotiate peace, let's continue," Senju Tsunade said lightly. "Anyway, it's definitely not me who is in a hurry." Iwagakure messenger's forehead is no longer a bead, but a waterfall. Shwishwil emerged from the forehead. "What should we do now? If I'm not careful, I'll be Iwagakure's eternal sinner." "Brain, get moving. My hair is itchy. Let me grow my brain quickly." Unfortunately, the Iwagakure envoy's brain hasn't grown yet. Messenger Iwagakure and Messenger Tsunade behind him grew impatient. The two of them kicked the Iwagakure envoy's knee cleanly. Messenger Iwagakure only felt his legs go limp, and knelt down in front of Senju Tsunade. "Yo, why is it so bad all of a sudden?" "I don't have any red envelopes for you." The Tsunade envoy came up, nodded and said flatteringly, "My lord, this guy blatantly contradicted your lord. He deserves death. But we, Tsunade, came with sincerity." "This is the compensation account given by Tsuchikage. Please have a look at it." Senju Tsunade took the account that Tsunade envoy respectfully handed over, looked at it casually, and then put it on the table. "The sincerity is good, but it's a pity that someone doesn't plan to negotiate peace." We, Konoha, had no choice but to reject Tsunade's kindness. The messenger of Iwagakure, who was kneeling on the ground, only felt an invisible heavy mountain pressing on his shoulders. He has to make a statement. "If you don't express your opinion, it will be the 4 major ninja villages besieging Iwagakure." Konoha can withstand it because of Konoha's strength. But if their Iwagakure were to be treated like this, they might not be able to last for 2 months. "I was wrong. My lord, I was wrong. I compensate. We compensate." The Iwagakure messenger hurriedly spoke, afraid. "Oh? What is Iwagakure going to compensate for? Didn't you say that Konoha should compensate you for your losses?" Senju Tsunade said in a strange way. The messenger of Iwagakure said bitterly. "You don't have to say, As long as you are willing to negotiate peace, we can pay compensation. Isn't there so much going on earlier? Senju Kusanai suddenly smiled all over his face, and stretched out his hand to pull the Iwagakure messenger up. Who is it? Let the guests kneel on the ground. Why are you so impolite? Isn't it you? The messenger of Iwagakure shouted crazily in his heart, but he had a flattering smile on his face. Well, I wonder how much your village plans to ask us to compensate. We Iwagakure have suffered heavy losses in this war. I am afraid we may not be able to fully compensate, and I hope that adults can understand. Please just say a number. We will definitely do our best to satisfy your request. The Iwagakure envoy had completely lost Onogi's orders in his head. I just want to sign a peace agreement as soon as possible, so as not to have long nights and dreams. The messenger of Iwagakure also said, "We're ready." Tsunagakure also nodded again and again. Senju Kusanai solemnly took out a piece of paper, and said solemnly, "After this war, Konoha lost hundreds of excellent jonin, and countless chunin and genin, plus the pensions of these ninjas, and various compensation fees. Well, each of you teaches 2 billion tals. Let me see your sincerity." Hearing this number, the faces of all three people turned green. 2 billion. This is 2 billion. Their village may not be able to earn money in 2 or 3 years. As a result, Senju Kusanai just opened his mouth. So much? Are your Konoha ninjas so precious? And when did you Konohas die so many jonin? This is too exaggerated. There is no way. But people under the eaves have to bow their heads. Asking for flowers. Senju Starry Night doesn't give them a choice at all. Even if there is a big grievance in their hearts, they can only grit their teeth and swallow it in their stomachs. He even swallowed the blood from his mouth into his stomach, not daring to let Senju Kusanai see it, so as not to get angry again. Then, the three of them signed the peace agreement presented by Senju Kusanai and agreed to pay 2 billion tals. But after they finished signing, Senju Orochimaru said with a surprised face, "You really signed it? Why didn't you bargain?" "The price I prepared in my heart was actually 1 billion tals. I didn't expect that everyone would give face so much that they wouldn't even negotiate the price." When the three messengers heard this, the corners of their mouths couldn't help twitching. He cursed wildly in his heart, but he couldn't show it on his face. 0. Did you act like you were bargaining? I'm afraid we dare to talk back. You just double the price. Although the heart was bleeding, but looking at the freshly baked peace agreement, the faces of the three toilets showed a relaxed look. No matter what the result is, anyway, a peace agreement has been reached. Next, it will be a time of peace in the ninja world. Now that the agreement has been signed, I will take my leave first. Messenger Iwagakure's face was tired and his eyes were bloodshot. Very poor condition. Seeing that the goal was impossible to achieve, the Iwagakure messenger just wanted to go home as soon as possible and tell Kage Onoki the news. The messenger of Iwagakure and the messenger of Tsunagakure have similar ideas. But just as they turned around, Senju Kusanai's annoying voice came from behind. They really don't want to hear Senju Kusanai continue talking. They are afraid that Senju Kusanai will continue to make more unreasonable demands. But they were very rude and wanted to turn around and leave, but they still couldn't leave, etc. Although the peace negotiation agreement has been signed, there are still some things on my side that need to be discussed with you. Discuss? The three messengers sneered inwardly. But when he turned around, he revealed a very professional smile, which looked very fake. Senju Kusanai didn't care. All Senju Kusanai cares about is the money in League's hand. And now, Senju Starry Night, who has just expanded his business in Cloud Shinobi Village, intends to take this opportunity to directly wipe out the 5 major countries. Let them fall into the trap of carrying mortgages. Chapter 81. How can you be so stingy in giving gifts? By the way, I haven't congratulated Master Tsunade on becoming the 4th Hokage yet. This is a small gift we prepared, please accept it. Patriarch Senju, please pass it on. The Mist Shinobi messenger delivered a gift box to Senju Starry Night. Senju Kusanai frowned. He just said that he wanted to discuss it. But this guy gave Tsunade a gift at this juncture? What do you mean? Senju Kusanai narrowed his star-like eyes slightly, and his mind began to turn. After receiving the gift box, Senju Kusanai checked to make sure there were no traps before handing it to his wife Senju Tsunade. Senju Tsunade accepted it directly, and planned to put it in the drawer without even looking at it. Wait. It's impolite not to take a look at a gift specially given to you, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Senju Tsunade could only take out the gift box again. 953 opened it and took a look. This is? Senju Tsunade frowned slightly. The Mist Shinobi messenger raised his head proudly and said, "This is a black pearl from the deep sea. It is said that wearing it for a long time has the effect of beautifying the skin. It is most suitable for a beautiful lady like you, Mr. Hokage." Senju Tsunade looked at the marble-sized black pearl in the box, looking dissatisfied. Senju Orochimaru looked at it, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching. "It's only that big. Let you see what a real black pearl looks like." He took out a scroll at random, and with a bang, a beautiful sandalwood box was created. When he opened it, there were all kinds of black pearls inside, full-bodied and full of color. Compared with this, the gift from the Mist Shinobi messenger is just a grain of rice. The smallest one in the sandalwood box has a diameter as thick as a thumb, and the largest one is even the size of a fist. Even Senju Tsunade, who has never liked jewelry very much, looked at it with bright eyes. These things are all collections collected by Senju Starry Night in the early years. Because the time is too long, if the messenger of Mist Shinobi did not come to the door to make an axe, even Starry Night might not be able to remember it. I'll give you whatever you like. Throwing the sandalwood box away, Senju Tsunade didn't care about these priceless black pearls at all. After all, compared with the wealth he owns, these are just a drop in the bucket. Be careful. What if it breaks? Although I don't like it, my sisters must have someone they like. If it breaks, my sisters should be sad. Senju Tsunade snapped at the result box and scolded. It was originally intended for you, but it has been released for a long time, and I forgot about it myself. Senju Tsunade said with a smile. The forehead of the Mist Shinobi messenger was covered with fine beads of sweat, and his face became extremely pale. The original pride has long since disappeared. No, I didn't expect the Senju Patriarch to have so many treasures in his collection. I'm really ashamed. Senju Tsunade smiled and said, I can't help it. I have no other characteristics except a lot of money. Do you have anything else to send? If not, then let's discuss it quickly. The Rock Shinobi Envoy and the Sand Shinobi Envoy glanced at each other, and suddenly felt that the gift in their hands was as heavy as 1,000 catties. But if it was reported that they came to celebrate but didn't even prepare gifts, it would be even worse to hear the news. Actually, I also have a small gift here. Please Hokage-sama, don't be disgusted. The Sand Shinobi messenger bit the bullet and handed out the gift prepared by the Sunagakure executives. As long as it's what you want, I will naturally not dislike it. Senju Tsunade said with a smile, then looked at her husband. Senju Tsunade took it casually, opened it, and the disdain in his eyes grew stronger. Inside the gift box was a well-carved diamond, also known as a diamond. Throwing the gift box aside casually, under the expectant eyes of Senju Tsunade, Senju Tsunade took out his scroll again and conjured a sandalwood box with a bang. When the Sand Shinobi Envoy saw the sandalwood box, his face immediately turned pale. When you open it, there are not only ordinary diamonds, but also rare pink, blue diamonds and black diamonds for sale. The whole box is full of colorful diamonds, each bigger than the last. Senju Tsunade threw the sandalwood box to Senju Tsunade, and looked at the last Rock Shinobi messenger. Really, tell you to be careful. Senju Tsunade was talking, but his face was full of smiles. Senju Tsunade can prepare these for them. Even if Senju Tsunade doesn't like to clean up, I feel sweet in my heart. Facing his wife's reproach, Senju Tsunade just smiled, and then looked at the last Rock Shinobi messenger. The Sand Shinobi Envoy backed away with a pale face. Obviously the gifts they prepared were very expensive, but when it comes to Senju Starry Night, it becomes as cheap as a roadside trinket. The gap is really too big. It was the last Rock Shinobi Envoy's turn, and the hands holding the gift box couldn't help shaking. His back was drenched with sweat. Well, this is a small favor from Master Tsuchikage. Please accept. The Rock Shinobi Envoy buried his head deeply, as if filled with shame. The gift box in his hand was also sent to Senju Tsunade. Senju Tsunade opened it casually, and then said lightly, it turned out to be emerald. The color is barely visible, but it's too small. I'm afraid I can't even pull a finger. If you want emeralds, you need this size. Under the desperate gaze of the Rock Shinobi messenger, Senju Tsunade took out his scroll again. With a bang, a huge sandalwood box appeared on the table. When I opened it, it was full of all kinds of superb jadeite. The color is bright and full, and the transparency is full, and all of them are top-quality original embryos. If this is handed over to top craftsmen, it will definitely produce a masterpiece that will last forever. The eyeballs of the Rock Shinobi messenger almost popped out. This. He trembled and wanted to reach out to touch it, but he was afraid that the oil stains on his hands would stain the jadeite and contaminate this exquisite jadeite embryo. Senju Tsunade closed the lid, pushed it hard and pushed it in front of Tsunade with 1.8 hands. Then he looked at the three messengers with a half smile and said, now, can we talk about business? The three looked at each other and smiled wryly. I don't know what the Senju Patriarch wants to talk to us about. The peace agreement has been signed, and we have also paid compensation. Does the chief of the Kian nationality still want to pester him endlessly? If you still want to continue to squeeze us, we can only fight. The eyes of the three messengers were full of determination. As long as Senju Tsunade asks for anything, they will tear up the previous agreement because they can't afford it anymore. Don't be so aggressive. Harmony makes money. We want harmony to make money. Senju Tsunade had a kind smile on his face. This attitude directly stunned the three of them. Chapter 82 Messenger, you don't want Ninja Village to lose such a precious opportunity, do you? Patriarch Senju wants to do business with us. Could it be that Senju Real Estate is going to build a house in our place? This matter is no small matter. Maybe we go back and ask for instructions. The three spoke cautiously, but their eyes were full of surprises. It seems that they are also very aware of the effect of Senju Real Estate. So when Senju Tsunade proposed cooperation, they will be like this. But this matter is beyond their responsibilities, so they dare not agree rashly. Do you still need to go back and ask for instructions? The effect of my Senju real estate is well known and obvious to all. I am the patriarch of the majestic Senju. Can I still entrap you? Senju star Yoruichi's dissatisfaction on his face. Since you are not willing, there is no need to cooperate. Anyway, with Master Reikage supporting me, I'm not bad for you customers. What? Cloud Shinobi Village sneaked away. The three of them immediately turned to look at Third Reikage, who was watching the play. 21. Third Reikage saw that all the eyes were on him, and suddenly showed a brilliant, but eerie smile. That smile immediately made the three envoys tremble in their hearts, especially the Rock Shinobi messenger. At the beginning, Onoki surrounded Third Reikage with tens of thousands of Rock Shinobi, and paid a heavy price to kill Third Reikage. It's a pity that it failed in the end because of Senju Kusanai's obstruction. This also caused the relationship between Cloud Shinobi Village and Iwagakure to drop directly to a freezing point, especially before Iwagakure and Cloud Shinobi Village were allies. As a result, Onoki directly backstabbed completely immorally, causing the Cloud Shinobi ninja to scold him up and down. As a beneficiary, Third Reikage naturally hopes that Senju Starry Night will not cooperate with the other three ninja villages, especially Iwagakure. In this way, with the gap between Senju real estate, the gap between Cloud Shinobi Village and Konoha will be shortened, and the gap between Cloud Shinobi Village and other villages will be widened. Now Third Reikage can't wait to replace the three messengers and agree not to cooperate with Senju Starry Night. But Senju Kusanai pulled Third Reikage out to tell others a message. There is not much time left for you. If you miss this village, you won't have this store. Senju Kusanai's move is completely a conspiracy. As long as you don't want to be opened up in the future, you must open up the market and let Senju real estate enter. But if they let go now without asking for instructions, they can't fully decide on such an important matter. This is a matter of great importance. I agree. The Sand Shinobi envoy didn't hesitate too long, and directly left two temporary teammates. Compared with the future of the village, these two teammates who can betray at any time are nothing. And now Tsunade can be regarded as a broken jar. It didn't have much money at first. I heard that Senju Bank also has loan services. If it's a big deal, you can borrow money and pay it back when you get rich. The most important thing now is to cooperate with Senju, so as not to be left behind. In that case, I will send someone over to negotiate on the matter. By the way, we also provide greening services. I wonder if your village needs it? Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Green? Is it really possible? The Sand Shinobi messenger's eyes glowed green. You must know that the area of the Kingdom of Wind is the largest among the 5 major countries, but resources are the poorest. It is precisely because most of the land of the wind is desert. Only some oases live, some villages. It is precisely because of living in such a barren environment that the land of wind yearns for the richness of the land of fire. That's why there is a plan for 4th Kazekage and Orochimaru to use the Chunin exam to attack Konoha in the future. How can the Sand Shinobi envoy not be excited to hear that Senju Kusanai proposed greening the desert? As long as the entire Kingdom of Wind is greened into a forest environment, why does the Kingdom of Wind need to invade the Kingdom of Fire? Excited just thinking about it. The Rock Shinobi envoy on the side was also dazed when he heard it. The country of the wind is barren, and the country of other soils is not much worse. The land of earth is stronger than the country of Kyo. Most of the area is wasteland, and the drought problem has always plagued the land of earth. If they can also carry out large-scale greening and change the climate and environment, the country they founded will become more prosperous. Of course, it's not free. If you want us to provide greening services, you need to cede part of your territory, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. As soon as these words came out, the faces of Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi messengers changed, and the previous excitement disappeared immediately. When it comes to ceding land, the matter gets serious. The Sand Shinobi messenger asked cautiously, "Can you change the plan?" "We can give money, any amount will do." The messenger Rock Shinobi nodded repeatedly. Senju Kusanai said awkwardly, "I'm afraid it's a bit difficult. After all, Tsunade and Iwagakure shouldn't have much money, right?" The Rock Shinobi envoys and the Sand Shinobi envoys suddenly felt uncomfortable. Senju Starry Night hit the mark. They really are out of money. After anyone spends 2 billion, there will be no money left. Senju Kusanai also took a fancy to this point, and proposed a sky-high compensation of 2 billion before. It is to cede some territory from the land of having to take advantage of the greening. It shouldn't be difficult to think about it, right? The two countries should have a lot of unused territory. The two of you can definitely hand over this kind of territory to us. 523 just happens to let you watch the effect of the greening. It's about the future of the two countries. I don't think this kind of thing needs to be considered for a long time, right? Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Looking at the eyes of the Sand Shinobi messenger and the Rock Shinobi messenger is like looking at 2 bundles of leeks, just waiting for the harvest. The Mist Shinobi messenger watched on. The land of water is much richer in resources than the land of earth and Heffing. You don't need to worry about greening. And naturally you don't have to be ripped off by Senju Starry Night. Naturally happy to watch the fun from the sidelines. We agreed to advance and retreat together, but in the end you surrendered first. It's really hateful. We, Iwagakure, will never agree to any conditions from the hateful Senju Starry Knight. The Mist Shinobi Messenger secretly made up his mind. Sand Shinobi Messenger and Rock Shinobi Messenger are sweating. As Senju Kusanai said, there are many unusable lands in the Land of Wind and the Land of Dan. But the matter of ceding the land is too sensitive, and they, as envoys, dare not make such a judgment lightly. After all, Kazekage and Tsuchikage did not give them such authority. But in the face of major events that can affect the future of the two countries, they have to consider whether to break through their authority. After all, Senju Kusanai's attitude is very obvious. As long as you don't agree this time, there will be no next time. They have one and only one chance. Chapter 83 The Way of Heaven is Reincarnation. Who will the sky spare? Finally, Sand Shinobi Messenger and Rock Shinobi Messenger reached an agreement with Senju Starry Knight anyway. Signed their names on the terms of land cession. Tanzi Kusanai didn't care whether they recognized their names, Tsunade and Iwagakure. He just needs such a piece of paper. With this piece of paper, he can do things in a legitimate way. What if Tsunade and Iwagakure are not convinced? That's right. These few shadows in the village are idle, not knowing what to do. When the time comes, whoever is not convinced will be beaten and take more territories. After solemnly putting away the terms of the agreement, Senju Kusanai looked at the Mist Shinobi Messenger with a smile. The Mist Shinobi Messenger's heart skipped a beat. But I feel that the country of water is different from the country of earth and heaven. It is rich in natural resources, and it is also close to the vast sea, so there is no need for Senju to lead by the nose with so-called greening. Although he is very jealous of Senju real estate, he must not be as frustrated as the Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi Messengers. Come on, it's our turn to talk about Shao. Senju Kusanai waved to the Mist Shinobi Messenger, and at the same time took out a map that had been prepared. Senju Patriarch, I can make the decision to agree to the Senju real estate stationed in Iwagakure, but please don't bring up the matter of land cession. Our country of water is rich in natural resources, even the relatively rich country of fire is not far behind. The Mist Shinobi Messenger proudly puffed out his chest, came to Senju Kusanai, and saw the map. Then the Mist Shinobi Messenger was taken aback. This map is so familiar. Isn't this a map of the Land of Water? Why so detailed? Could it be that there are Konoha spies in the Land of Water? Be sure to check it out when you get back. The Mist Shinobi Messenger immediately became vigilant. As for how Senju Kusanai obtained this map, it was naturally with the help of his own takeaway. Running around on the battlefield, if there is no enough detailed map, how can it be sent to the place accurately? It's just that the deliverymen were everywhere on the battlefield at that time, and no one noticed these people. This allowed Senju Kusanai to pick up the bargain. Now, except for some remote small countries and the internal situation of major ninja villages, the maps of all places in the entire ninja world have been stored in the Senju resident. The map of Patriarch Senju is so detailed, I don't know where I got it. The Mist Shinobi Messenger asked with narrowed eyes. Senju Kusanai smiled, and ran the train with his mouth full. I just bought this map by accident from a merchant in the Land of Water. You also know that our Senju family has run a lot of businesses. Although it is mainly real estate, there are still many surrounding areas. I also have good cooperation with businessmen from various countries. This is what a businessman from the Land of Water sold to me. Those words immediately made the Mist Shinobi envoy feel murderous in his heart. Of course, it was for that unknown water country businessman even daring to sell this kind of confidential map. It's a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. But as everyone knows, this passage is completely made up by Kienki and Kusanai. Okay, let's not talk about these. What I want to talk about is the traffic issue in the country of water. Senju Kusanai changed the topic to business. Transportation. A question mark popped over the head of the Mist Shinobi Messenger. Our traffic is fine. Snapped. Senju Kusanai slapped his big hand on the ground and said loudly, why is there no problem? There are so many islands in the Land of Water. Does it take a lot of effort to go there by boat every time you travel? And after the stormy weather, it is even more impassable. How can it be said that there is no problem? The Mist Shinobi envoy was stunned, not knowing why Senju Kusanai would raise this issue. So, what does Patriarch Senju want to do? Are we going to do afforestation in our country of water? But our afforestation is no problem. Senju stared at the Mist Shinobi Messenger like an idiot. How is it possible? Of course what I want to do is to build a bridge for you. The Mist Shinobi Messenger was taken aback. Build a bridge? Is Chief Senju going to build bridges between the islands? Senju Hoshiyoruichi nods his face as a matter of course. Don't worry, I'm Senju. The quality is definitely not a problem. Even if there is a Category 13 typhoon, the bridge I built will not have any problems. When a typhoon of level 13 blows, who the hell is still surfing outside? Think you can't die fast enough? The Mist Shinobi Messenger complained wildly in his heart, but he only dared to complain in his heart. If he said it in front of Senju Kusanai, Yanshi felt that he could not bear the consequences. Senju Kusanai pointed to the islands in the Land of Water and said in detail, look, your country of water has so many islands, and many of them haven't even been developed. It's because the traffic is not convenient enough. Ninjas can naturally step on the water, But what about ordinary people? How many ninjas are there in your country of water? How many ordinary people are there? If these uninhabited islands can be developed, will the population of your water country explode? As the population increases, will the base of ninjas increase? At that time, with the help of our Senju real estate, the overall strength will also be improved. At that time, who would dare to say that your Iwagakure is the tail of the crane? We're not the tail of the crane, Tsunade is. The messenger of mist shinobi subconsciously blurted out but immediately covered his mouth. The Sand Shinobi messenger's eyes narrowed, full of murderous intent. Others can say that we are the tail of the crane. Why are you Iwagakure? Even the 7 ninja swordsmen were beaten and maimed, leaving only 3 wounded soldiers, and even the tailed beast was taken away. How can we say that our Tsunade is the tail of the crane? We still have our one-tail crane. Realizing that he said something wrong, the Mist Shinobi messenger approached Senju Starry Night and whispered, Patriarch Senju, this matter is very important, and it is not up to me to decide. I don't know if there is a grace period. After I go back and report to Ms. Yukage, it will be decided by Ms. Yukage. Senju, okay. Tsunade leaned lazily on the chair and said comfortably, it seems that Gai-kun is not in a hurry, so let's forget about this matter. Senju properties will not be stationed in Iwagakure for the time being. The Mist Shinobi envoy became anxious immediately. Sign for the Patriarch. You can't do this. It's not fair. Senju Tsunade frowned. Fair West? What I say is fair. If you don't agree, don't buy my products. The Mist Shinobi envoy scratched his head anxiously. But there was nothing he could do. The initiative lies with Senju Tsunade, and the Mist Shinobi messenger can only passively accept any conditions proposed by Senju Tsunade. Before that, Mist Shinobi messengers watched Sand Shinobi messengers and Rock Shinobi messengers. Now it's the duo's turn to watch the emissary of Mist Shinobi play. It's really heaven's way of reincarnation. All the heavens spare. The Sand Shinobi messenger looked at the Mist Shinobi messenger coldly. How dare you say that Tsunade is the tail of the crane? Chapter 84 already. It doesn't matter anymore. The Mist Shinobi envoy let out a long breath, and made up his mind. Although this decision was very reckless, if he didn't make this decision, he might be directly shot to death by Ms. Yukage after returning. Originally, the Senju real estate was only in the fire country. Although the other ninja villages were greedy, they didn't have too many ideas because everyone was the same. But now, through the signing of this peace agreement, Senju real estate will be settled in other ninja villages. It turned out that they didn't have Iwagakure. Isn't that bullshit? At that time, other ninja villages will take advantage of the auxiliary cultivation effect of Senju real estate to widen the gap with Iwagakure little by little. At that time, Chongyun village will really become the crane of the 5 great ninja villages. It is even possible to directly change from the 5 great ninja villages to the 4 great ninja villages. This kind of consequence is a responsibility that he, a small messenger, cannot bear. Patriarch Senju, I agree. I don't know what the Chief Ganzu wants. The shoulders of the Mist Shinobi messenger drooped, and he said weakly, I have already prepared in my heart that no matter what conditions Senju Tsunade puts forward, I will agree to it. At this time, the mentality of the Mist Shinobi messenger is very similar to that of the Sand Shinobi messenger. That's broken jars. It doesn't matter anymore. Come on, let the storm come more violently. The Mist Shinobi messenger looked up, and 753 looked at the Senju Starry Night, as if waiting for the final judgment. My conditions are simple. Aren't there many undeveloped uninhabited islands in the land of water? I want to pick a few territories that are divided into Konoha, Senju Tsunade said lightly. The messenger of Mist Shinobi clenched his fists tightly. Although he was prepared in his heart, when he really heard it, the humiliation in his heart still made him extremely uncomfortable. Suppressing the agitation in his heart, the Mist Shinobi messenger said as calmly as possible. I don't know which islands the Senju Patriarch has taken a fancy to. With all due respect, if the Senju Patriarch wants too much, I can't call the shots. Senju Tsunade said with a smile. Not too many, just these few. Senju Starry Night drew circles on several islands on the map. The Mist Shinobi messenger leaned over to take a look, and was overjoyed. Although the country of water doesn't have the time and energy to develop these uninhabited islands, the basic investigation work has been done. The few uninhabited islands selected by Senju Starry Night happen to have been investigated, and there are not many resources at all. The Mist Shinobi messenger hastily bowed his head and pretended to look closely. CBFC, not wanting Senju Tsunade to see the ecstatic look in his eyes. If Senju Tsunade found out and turned to circle the nearby island, Xian's envoy would not know where to cry. After all, there are many rich resources on the surrounding islands. After quickly adjusting his mentality, the Mist Shinobi messenger pretended to be embarrassed and said, Chief Senju, aren't these too many? Could it be less than 2, like these 2? The messenger of Mist Shinobi pointed to the 2 smaller islands, his thoughts spinning rapidly. This is intentional by the messenger of Mist Shinobi. He purposely didn't choose those big islands, but chose those small ones, because he felt that Senju Tsunade surrounded these uninhabited islands casually. In fact, to judge the value of these islands based on his reaction, Now he deliberately chooses the small ones and ignores the big ones. Maybe it will make Senju Kusanai pay more attention to these small ones, thus giving him a certain amount of initiative. Really? Senju Kusanai said dissatisfied. Isn't it enough for just a few small islands? Or just forget it? The Mist Shinobi messenger hurriedly said with a smile. Well, my lord, you can choose other islands. These 2 islands are really difficult, Senju Kusanai said arrogantly. These 2 islands must be and the other islands can be reduced by 2. Got it. The Mist Shinobi messenger was ecstatic in his heart, but his face was full of sorrow. The scrupulous Oscar winner had to kneel on the ground and offer his statuette with both hands. The acting skills are simply perfect. Fearing that Senju Starry Night would change his mind again, the Mist Shinobi messenger pointed to the 2 larger islands reluctantly. Since Chief Senju insists, please cancel these 2 islands. How should I explain to Mizukage-sama when I go back? The Mist Shinobi envoy had a miserable look on his face. My heart is simply happy. Senju Kusanai looked at the Mist Shinobi messenger and smiled inwardly. This guy thinks he can trick me? I don't know who will have the last laugh. Since he wanted to take other people's territory, how could Kianzi Kusanai not have investigated beforehand? Knowing that Konoha is the victor, Senju Kusanai has already gone to investigate where Fang Yin is hiding good things in these 3 countries. The land ceded by Tsunade and Iwagakure has its own specialties, such as ores, and these uninhabited islands of Iwagakure are full of hidden treasures. Iwagakure's superficial investigations have completely failed to discover the hidden treasures inside these uninhabited islands, and Senju Kusanai made in-depth investigation through wood style, and soon discovered the hidden wealth in these uninhabited islands. That is chakra-conductive metal. This is the rare metal that can enhance the power of ninjutsu. Now Senju Starry Night is found on these uninhabited islands. As long as these few deposits of chakra-conductive metals are excavated, it is also a great fortune. Although it is not as valuable as the Senju real estate in the receiving bank, it is not a wealth that can be ignored. And these mineral deposits are located on several small uninhabited islands under the circle of Senju Kusanai. Those large uninhabited islands were all judged by Senju Kusanai to confuse the view. When the Mist Shinobi messenger suggested that the 2 small islands could not be sold, Senju Kusanai thought that the mineral deposits here had been discovered by Iwagakure. As a result, looking at it now, it was just a mistake made by the Mist Shinobi messenger. That being the case, Senju Kusanai decided to do whatever he could, since there were no resources worthy of attention on those large islands. Just master these small uninhabited islands first. At that time, send people there to mine the chakra-conductive metal, and use it to arm the people on your side. Coincidentally, his 12th child Senju Wang was a blacksmith, and these chakra-conductive metals should be able to play a stronger role in his hands. The messenger of Mist Shinobi had a sad face, but his heart was full of joy. Using a few uninhabited islands that no one wants and asking Senju to build bridges is a huge advantage. Senju Kusanai also had a stern face, and Senju wantonly laughed at the short-sightedness of the envoy Yuan. Seeing that the transaction is over, Senju Tsunade knocked on the table and said, since the matter is over, let's all go home. I still have things to deal with, so my husband will entertain the envoys. Chapter 85 Are you threatening me? Etc. There is one more thing I want to discuss. The Rock Shinobi messenger hurriedly called Senju Tsunade to a halt. Senju Tsunade frowned slightly and said, then what were you doing standing there for so long? Isn't this a waste of everyone's time? Isn't it because your husband made those deals with us? The Rock Shinobi ninja complained in his heart, but he dared not speak out. He could only bow slightly, and said with a feeling of humiliation, well, Master Tsuchikage hopes that your village can return our 4 tails, no matter what the price is. Originally, the idea of the Rock Shinobi emissary was to let Konoha village return the 4 tails unconditionally. But after what happened just now, how dare he dare? He could only honestly lower his stance, hoping to bring back his precious combat power. Hearing what the envoy Rock Shinobi said, the envoy Mist Shinobi also remembered this. Me too, Master Mizukage hopes that your village can return the 3 tails, and we can pay any price. Senju Tsunade frowned slightly, and stared at her husband with dark eyes. My family knows my own affairs. Those 2-tailed beasts have long been sacrificed by her husband. Even if they want to take it out, there is no way. However, although Senju Tsunade's eyes are hidden, the eyes of the Rock Shinobi messenger and the Mist Shinobi messenger are always on her. So see it all at once. They immediately set their sights on Senju Kusanai. Could it be that 3 tails/4 tails are on the Senju patriarch? The heads of the 2 suddenly became one big and too big, and they didn't expect the tailed beast to be in the hands of the most difficult person. Now they don't know what conditions to pay to redeem their tailed beast. As everyone knows, Senju Kusanai is also a little embarrassed at this time. After all, he doesn't have a tailed beast to pay them. In this case, there is only one way. What tailed beast? Why haven't I seen it? Senju Staryoruichi said with a confused face, and looked at his big brother. Although third Hokage looks like a rough guy, he is definitely not in his heart. Seeing Senju Kusanai's eyes, he immediately said understandingly, I haven't seen it either. Do you remember wrongly? Why don't you go back and look for them? Maybe they just rebelled. Goddamn betrayed. just pay it back. The messengers of Rock Shinobi and Mist Shinobi complained wildly. Patriarch Senju, please don't joke with us, this matter is really serious. Please Senju, Patriarch must return the tailed beast to us, otherwise, Senju Kusanai's face darkened. Are you threatening me? The Rock Shinobi envoy's heart skipped a beat, and he waved his hands again and again and said, how is it possible? I was just too eager. So the words were a little bit more intense. Senju Kusanai snorted and said coldly, if I say I don't remember, I don't remember. Do you think I need to lie to you about this kind of thing? What good would it do me to lie to you? Tail beasts don't mean anything to me. After all, the strongest tail beast, 9 tails, is in my wife's belly. I don't pay attention to your tailed beasts at all. But, naturally, the Rock Shinobi and Mist Shinobi envoys did not believe it. After all, many people witnessed the truth on the battlefield. But now Senju Kusanai doesn't recognize it at all. Is there any way for them to threaten Senju Kusanai? The scene reached a stalemate. Seeing that the situation became tense, Third Hokage stepped forward to smooth things over. The peace agreement has just been signed. Are you planning to continue the fight? Leave such unhappy things aside. Isn't peace a good thing? Come on, let's have a good drink and we won't go home until we're drunk. Whoever dares to leave halfway will not give me face. Third Hokage directly grabbed the necks of the Mist Shinobi and Rock Shinobi messengers, and forcibly pulled them out of the meeting room. Seeing Third Hokage appearing in the Starry Night of Senju, his complexion became a little better. For the sake of Brother Hokage, I don't care about you framing me this time. But I don't want to have a second time, otherwise. Senju Kusanai didn't finish what he said, but the meaning has been clearly conveyed to the hearts of the two of them. If you dare to say it again, the real estate matter will be gone. The envoys of Rock Shinobi and Mist Shinobi dared not to speak out. They could only turn all their grief and anger into alcohol, intending to regain their place at the wine table. The Sand Shinobi envoy watched with gusto. Tsunade's one-tailed Jinchuriki was not blocked by Senju Starry Night, and naturally their tail beasts were also preserved. That's why I can watch the liveliness of Rock Shinobi messengers and Mist Shinobi messengers here. Asking for flowers. The envoy of Sand Shinobi, who was in a good mood, stepped forward and said to Senju Starry Night, Patriarch Senju, please take care of the greening. Senju Kusanai immediately put on a smiling face, which can be called a face-changing stunt. It's a trivial matter, when the time comes. You just need to watch how your homeland will change. Let's go, I have already chosen a place, and I will definitely entertain everyone. Turning back, Senju Kusanai said to Senju Tsunade, then I'll go first, and I will work hard for you next. Senju Tsunade waved his hand, although he also wanted to drink, but after all, today is his first day as Hokage, so it is not easy to escape. If you want to drink, you can only talk about it later. Hurry up, I'm still busy. Seeing Senju Tsunade's depressed mood, Senju Kusanai couldn't help but smile. This day, Senju Starry Night can be said to have made a lot of money. Although the agreement was only signed, it has not yet been formally implemented. But there is too much maneuverable space inside. Senju Starry Night, who completely takes the initiative, can do whatever he wants. No one can stop him. Senju Kusanai can see a large amount of wealth flying towards him. A bright future awaits him. Come on, raise your glasses. Senju Kusanai stood at the main seat, holding out the wine glass in his hand, looking at everyone present. There are ninja chiefs, like the chiefs of Inuzuka, Yamanaka, Kurama, Nara, Akamaki and so on. There are also representatives of civilian ninjas, Namikaze Minato, Kosuke Marushi, Chen Bojun, Might Dai and others. And of course the third Hokage and the 3 messengers who came as guests. Everyone raised their wine glasses and watched the Senju Starry Night. Today is destined to be a great day, because the ninja world has finally gained peace again after a long war. This is hard-won peace, and I hope everyone can protect this hard-won peace. Not only for ourselves, but also for our descendants. It is also for the stable development of Senju real estate. Let us have respect, peace. Everyone drank the wine in their glasses. Plop plop. Everyone turned their heads and saw that the Mist Shinobi messenger fell directly on the table. Chapter 86. I really envy Sarutobi Hiruzen, that old-fashioned critic tilde. Ha 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 ha. The Rock Shinobi messenger suddenly laughed out loud. You guys are too weak. Is this going to work? What a coward. Hiccup. Thump. Another fell. Third Hokage looked at it strangely, turned around and asked, my brother, what did you put in the wine? Why did they all pour it? Senju Kusanai was also puzzled. He didn't do anything. Don't go wrong, right? Could it be that someone wants to poison them and then blame themselves? Thinking of this, Senju Kusanai's eyes suddenly became sharp. There is one and only one in Konoha village who can do this kind of thing. Shimura Danzo. However, after Chief Yamanaka checked it out, Senju Kusanai dismissed his idea. Master Kusanai, they are drunk. Forehead. July 13th. Senju Kusanai blinked, completely unexpected that the result of the matter would be so simple and simple. Fortunately, he thought there was some conspiracy here. It turned out that he was thinking too much. But Senju Kusanai immediately became puzzled. No, as the envoys of the villages. Are you not diplomats? What kind of diplomat pours directly like you? Is this too exaggerated? Do you still want to participate in diplomacy at this level? Those who are not afraid of being tricked even pawn their underwear. Oh, I was the one who cheated them. That's fine. Since the two are fine, then arrange for someone to let them rest well, and let's continue drinking. A few waiters came and arranged the drunk two people to rest in the next compartment. Those who remained began to eat and drink. The face of the Sand Shinobi messenger was also very rosy, and the whole person became a little excited. Patriarch Senju, do you know what this wine is? It tastes so refreshing. This is the wine a man should drink. It doesn't mean talking to the Starry Night. Third Reikage's eyes lit up, and he came over with a wine bottle. You like this wine too? Then we have to compete. The Sand Shinobi envoy did not show timidity in the face of Third Reikage, or alcohol inflated his guts. It is my honor to compete with Lord Third Reikage at the wine table. Ha ha. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Drinking is over. Third Reikage laughed loudly and started drinking with the Sand Shinobi envoy. But Third Reikage is obviously different from ordinary people in this respect. After all, Third Reikage's body is comparable to a tailed beast. After a few cups, the Sand Shinobi messenger also poured down. Cool, it's boring. Third Reikage pouted, raised the Sand Shinobi envoy and threw it aside. Fortunately, the Sand Shinobi envoy was so fast asleep that he didn't wake up. I still have to drink with you to get excited. Let's not get drunk today. Senju Kusanai smiled and raised his glass. Come on, do it. After speaking, he raised his neck and drank a glass of wine. Ha ha ha, my brother is bold. As he said that, he directly lifted the wine bottle and felt bored. The others looked at the two of them fighting for wine, and they all looked at each other, and they also picked up the wine bottle and joined in. But even if they are used to drinking the wine brewed by Senju's family, they can't stand the two of them drinking glass after glass. Soon there were only two people sitting on the entire wine table. Everyone else got down. More and more wine bottles are placed on the ground. The two drank more and more, with no intention of stopping at all. Third Reikage relied on his physical strength and had no scruples at all. Senju Starry Night has a sage body, and he doesn't care about alcohol. The two fought until dawn. I drank hundreds of bottles of wine alone. These are good wines worth tens of thousands of tals a bottle. In other words, the two drank several million tals of wine this night. Of course, this little money can only be said to be sprinkled water for Senju Starry Night, so there is no need to care about it at all. Just sell two houses. Third Reikage and the three messengers left. Senju Kusanai personally sent them away from the Konoha gate. Third Reikage felt a little bit reluctant. After all, there are very few people who can fight wine with him to that extent. The point is that there are too many good wines here at Senju Starry Night, and you can't get enough of them. But unfortunately, he is Reikage, and the post-war restoration of Cloud Shinobi Village still needs him to preside over it. The faces of the three envoys were full of sorrow. Just thinking about the 2 billion tals to be paid in compensation is already terrifying enough. Not to mention ceding so much land. How should we communicate after returning home? They even wanted to stay in Konoha Village. When they think of the terrible consequences they are likely to face after returning, it is difficult for them to take the step of returning home. They don't want to die, but they had to go, because following them, there is Wood Clone from Senju Starry Night. Naturally, it was to fulfill the contract and take away Konoha's due compensation. Brother, you must come to play with me in the future. I will arrange for you properly. Third Reikage waved and shouted at Senju Starry Night, and then left with Senju Starry Night's Wood Clone. The three messengers looked at each other, and then sighed deeply. They all know that the next fate of the other party may not be easy. But at this moment, they seem to have started work and have no arrows to turn back. They are already riding on the back of a tiger and cannot get off. Watching them leave, Senju Kusanai had a heartfelt smile on his face. Whoosh! Before Senju Starry Night called out, the corner boss appeared on his own initiative. This is Boss Zhao's keen sense of money. Boss, do you want me to follow? Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Of course, you need to participate in the whole process of this matter, but you only need to keep accounts, and just assign a few shadow clones to follow. If anyone has an opinion, let's talk about it later. Boss Zhao looked up, feeling that his boss's smile was full of danger. At the same time, I couldn't help but look forward to it. Expect someone with a blind eye to knock him out or Senju Starry Night's Wood Clone. In this case, they have enough reason to fight. And that guy has no help from other ninja villages. At that time, I am sure that 1.4 will be able to plunder more wealth. Thinking of this, Boss Zhao even wanted to touch porcelain. But to be on the safe side, Boss Zhao didn't dare to act too proactively. I'm afraid of disrupting the plan of my own boss. Oh, I'm so busy. Tsuchikage Onoki hammered his back, feeling that life would be worse than death. There are too many recovery tasks after the war, and there are too many things that he needs to deal with. Sitting all day, I feel like my waist is almost gone. But as Tsuchikage, he couldn't just leave. I really envy Sarutobi Hiruzen, an old pervert, with Senju Bank here. I'm afraid he doesn't worry about money at all. Lozi's head is almost blown by the pension issue. I don't know how much money I can get back from that old color batch. I hope I can make up for the loss. Chapter 87. I did all this for the future of Iwagakure. Tsuchikage Onogi couldn't think of anything. The envoy he sent out to get money from Konoha would bring back sky-high compensation. It's just that Konoha didn't pay them, but they wanted to pay Konoha. If he knew, he might explode on the spot. God. But he doesn't know this fact yet. Still full of anticipation, waiting for the messenger's return. At this time, his son, the simple-looking Hwangta, knocked on the door and walked in. Father, the envoy sent out has returned. Onoki's eyes lit up. Finally home. Quick, bring him here. However, Hwangta looked a little hesitant and did not act immediately. Onoki looked at his son suspiciously. What's the matter? Didn't you hear me? Hurry up and bring him back. Hwangta said hesitantly. But he's not the only one who came. There's also Senju Starry Night. What? Onoki heard Senju Kusanai's name. His eyes widened and he interrupted Hwangta's words. You said Senju Starry Night is here? Where is he? 21. Contact Anbu's people. Hwangta said quickly. No, the person who came was Senju Starry Night. But it wasn't Senju Starry Night either. Onoki frowned and scolded his son angrily. What do you mean? A tongue twister? Speak clearly for me. Hwangta immediately shrank his head and said, the person who came is wood clone from Senju Starry Night. Wood clone? Onoki frowned and muttered. What is Senju sending a wood clone on a starry night? Hwangta shook his head again and again, expressing that he didn't know. Onoki glanced at his son in disgust. After thinking about it, he said, take people to the conference room. I'll be there in a while. Yes. Hwangta ran out in a hurry, for fear of making his father angry again. Onoki frowned thoughtfully. What does Senju come over on a starry night mean? And only one identity was sent? Is he planning a tree world descent in Iwagakure? No, if that's the case, he should have used it after entering the village. Then what is his purpose? Forget it. It's useless to think so much. You'll know it after seeing it. There was a bad feeling in Onoki's heart, but he couldn't figure out why. Now I can only meet the culprit who bothered him to finish third Raikage. Come to the conference room. As soon as he entered the door, Onoki saw that the envoy he sent to Konoha was sitting aside with his head drooping. Senju Kusanai and a man wearing a mask are sitting opposite. The man wearing the mask, whom Nogi recognizes, is the owner of the Senju real estate, known as the corner boss. Thinking of this, Yainaimi couldn't help but cast a dark glance at Hwang beside him. Hwangta also knew that he forgot to say about Boss Zhao, so he lowered his head in panic, not daring to look into his father's eyes. Onoki floated into the meeting room, and when he saw Senju Kusanai, he immediately showed a meaningful smile. It turned out that the Senju Patriarch came here. I don't know why the Senju Patriarch came here this time. Onoki stopped beating around the bush and asked Senju directly why Kusanai came. Senju Kusanai smiled and said, the reason for my visit, you have to ask the envoy of your village. Hearing Senju Kusanai's words, the rock shinobi envoy's head drooped deeply, almost buried under the table. I cursed and slandered in my heart. Tsuchikage asked, so you just say it honestly. Why are you pulling it on me? Onoki frowned slightly, looking at the envoy he sent out. What's going on? Have you done what I asked you to do? Senju Kusanai, who is a Konoha man, was present, and Yonogi didn't ask directly where the money was, but the sense of oppression Onogi brought to rock shinobi envoy Wenya still made Wenya bow his head deeply. Look up, you look so outrageous. Onoki let out an angry shout, and directly made a Jiling stand up. Then Wenya bowed deeply, and slammed his head on the table, making a loud noise. Boom. I'm very sorry, Master Tsuchikage. I failed your trust. Please punish me. But I did all this for Iwagakure's future. There is no selfishness at all. Onoki was a little dazed. What's going on here? Such a big reaction? And there are guests here. It's too embarrassing for you to behave like this. Hold my head up and speak clearly. Yes. Wenya raised his head, and quickly explained the ins and outs of the matter. After listening to it, Yainaimi was completely dumbfounded. WTF? We want to pay 2 billion. Where did we get so much money? Also, how dare you cede the land? Who gave you the courage? The one surnamed Liang? Onoki never expected that the news brought back by his trusted subordinates would be so shocking. He also thought that the compensation Wenya brought back from Konoha would be able to solve the urgent need at the moment. But what is this now? Super doubling is nothing out of the ordinary. After finally regaining consciousness, Onogi saw Senju Kusanai's smiling expression. His face suddenly collapsed. Patriarch Senju, this matter has not been approved by me, so it cannot be counted. 2 billion is absolutely impossible for us to spend. Senju Kusanai's expression changed suddenly, and he said indifferently, in that case, forget it. I hope Lord Tsuchikage will not go back on his word when the time comes. Wenya hurriedly moved to Onomi's ear, and whispered quickly. 980 Master Tsuchikage, we can't provoke Senju now. They have several cage-level powerhouses in their hands. If they attack us at that time, we will not be able to hold on. And it's impossible for other villages to help us now. When Onoki heard this, his face was cloudy and uncertain. At the same time, I have to say that Konoha has a lot of talents. Iwagakure is also one of the 5 great ninja villages, but in terms of the number of cage-level ninjas, they are still much worse than Konoha. At this moment, Iwagakure and Five Tails Jinchuriki are the only ones who can be called cage-level strong. The rest is just at the level of elite jonin. But what about Konoha? San alone is 3 cage-level powerhouses. There is also Namikaze Minato who stole the limelight on the battlefield this time, and Nine Tails Jinchuriki Ren. Senju Kusaniguang was sent out. Would clone has the strength of a cage-level powerhouse. Such a comparison, the gap is too outrageous. In the end, Onogi sighed helplessly and said, alas. We agreed to a peace treaty, but 2 billion is too much. Our losses are also very heavy, and the pensions for the dead ninjas have not been paid yet. If the money affords some time, snapped. Boss Zhao directly took out an abacus and counted it cracklingly. This operation directly stunned Onogi. What is this doing? Chapter 88. How do you know we are not robbing again? Onogi didn't know what Boss Zhao was doing, but Senju Kusanai naturally knew what his subordinates were planning to do now. Is everything settled? Senju Kusanai asked casually. Coincidentally, Boss Zhao also finished the calculation work, nodded silently and said, borrowing 2 billion, the interest rate is 30% for each installment within 3 years, and the settlement is made once a year. If it is 5 years, the interest will increase to 40% each period, and it will also be settled every year. Onoki opened his mouth wide, looking at these 2 guys who looked like robbers in disbelief. You might as well grab it, Senju Kusanai said with a half smile. How do you know we're not robbing again? As a defeated country, what qualifications do you have to negotiate terms? If you are not convinced, then continue. It doesn't matter to me. Onoki was going crazy. But there is nothing to do. Iwagakure's loss was simply too great. Leaving aside the loss of war, thousands of ninjas were consumed just to contain the third Raikage. Even Iwagakure is badly wounded. The point is that third Raikage isn't dead yet. This is what hurts the most. Right now, in the face of Senju Kusanai's robbery, Onoki dare not break the jar even though he is angry. If Iwagakure is broken in his hands, how will he face the former generation? Isn't that 2 billion? The big deal is that Lozi will do it himself and take the task like crazy. I can't believe the money. Onoki also went all out. Okay, just 3 years. After 3 years, I will definitely pay off all the debts. Clap clap. Senju Kusanai clapped his hands repeatedly and praised. Master Tsuchikage is really brave. Please sign here. This way the transaction is complete. Seeing Senju Kusanai conjuring out the contract that he had already prepared, Onoki was suddenly so angry that his head was smoking. Senju Kusanai's posture clearly determined their Iwagakure, but Onoki had no choice. This is what makes Onoki the most angry, because Onoki didn't dare to lift the table. Stretching out his trembling hand, Onoki signed his name slowly and hesitantly. After signing, looking at the black and white words on the contract, Onoki slumped on the chair as if he had collapsed. His eyes were blank. Satisfied, Senju Kusanai put away the contract and handed it to Jabos for safekeeping. Ono said dumbly, okay, the contract has been signed, you can go now. Senju Kusanai frowned and said, did Tsuchikage-sama forget something? Onoki was at a loss, when hurriedly whispered, Tsuchikage-sama, there is also the matter of the Senju estate. Correct. And this? Onoki's eyes lit up immediately. He immediately thought of a good idea. Are you talking about the settlement of the Senju property? No problem. But the price to buy the land is up to me, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Appreciate further details. Onoki said immediately. I can sell you the area east of the village for 2 billion, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Master Tsuchikage is joking. Onoki's eyes were burning, and this was the only chance for him to get the cash as soon as possible and repay the debt. No, wherever you're going to buy land, it's this guy. If you don't want to accept. Onoki paused suddenly, and suddenly realized that something was wrong. Senju Kusanai looked at the stuck Onogi with a half smile and said, speak. Continued to talk. What if you don't accept it? Onoki swallowed suddenly, and said with difficulty. If you don't accept it, we can still discuss it. 1 inch. Onoki, this grievance. I thought I could grasp the initiative, but after thinking about it carefully, the initiative is still in the hands of others. The threat just now may have backfired. I don't know how much I will lose from selling the land. Now Onoki is almost crying. Senju Kusanai sneered and said, 2 billion is definitely not enough, but I'll give you a fair price. Lest you say I'm bullying. Afterwards, Senju Kusanai took out a map of Iwagakure, and under Onoki's horrified gaze, after looking at it for a while, he pointed to an area and said, just here, I'll give you 100 million. 100 million? Impossible. No, where did the map in your hand come from? Onoki retorted subconsciously, but soon realized the really serious problem. When did their Iwagakure terrain distribution become so clear? Is there a Konoha spy in the village? Or is there a traitor in the village? No matter who it is, don't be caught by me, otherwise you will not be able to survive or die. Map. I bought it, Senju Kusanai said casually. I remember that the seller is still a merchant from your land of Earth. He repeated the nonsense he had spoken to the Mist Shinobi messenger. Anyway, no matter how hard they searched, it was impossible to find the businessman, Senju Kusanai said, but a sharp thorn was deeply pierced in their hearts. Let's talk about the map later. Now we have to sell the land for a high price. The price of 100 million is too little. At least 1.5 billion. Onoki shook his head frantically, saying that this guy was simply joking, and raised his hand to say the new price. Senju Kusanai frowned slightly. That's 200 million. 1.4 billion. 250 million. 13. Huh? Just about to say the new price, Onoki suddenly stopped. What happened? Isn't it 100 million back and forth? Why did 0.5 pop up all of a sudden? If it wasn't for the quick response of the old man, it would be a loss. After a pause, Onoki called out the price quickly. 1.35 billion. 260. Onoki widened his eyes. Why didn't you play your cards according to the routine? But helplessly, Onoki could only keep up. Compared to Onoki, who is cautious and afraid of being cheated, Senju Kusanai is very indifferent. Finally, after fierce, Zhao bargaining, the price of the land was set at 770 million. Although it is much less than expected, at least the money can be regarded as an urgent need. At least the pensions of those ninjas who died in battle can be taken out. In this way, people who are floating can be stabilized. Patriarch Senju, I wonder when the money will be delivered to the demon? Then, I saw Senju Kusanai's eyes as if he was looking at an idiot. Send over. Don't you owe me money? The money should be repaid. Don't forget to pay it off within 3 years. Now that you have exchanged 770 million yuan, you still have 3.23 billion yuan left. Senju Kusanai said lightly. Onoki felt his eyes go dark, and fell to the ground with a plop. Oops. Call a medical ninja. Master Tsuchikage has a cerebral thrombosis. Huangta screamed, and the whole scene suddenly became panicked. Senju Kusanai got up leisurely and took Boss Zhao to build a house. Chapter 89. Master Tsuchikage fainted again. By the time Onoki woke up, 2 hours had passed. When he opened his eyes, he saw the worried eyes of Huangta and others. Are they gone? Onoki asked weakly. Huangta repeatedly shook his head and said, Father, they ... You should go and have a look. A bad feeling suddenly appeared in Onoki's heart. Could it be that Senju Starry Night and the others are still doing something? Regardless of his weak body, Yin Yamu quickly got up. But it was too hasty, and my waist flashed all of a sudden. The whole person suddenly changed from lying down to lying down, screaming in pain. My waist . When Onoma finally recovered and followed Huangta to the scene, he was dumbfounded. Originally, Iwagakure's district was several training grounds. Because no one lives there and the location is remote, Onogi wants to sell this area to Kienman Kusanai. It happened that Senju Kusanai didn't want to demolish other people's houses, which would easily cause disputes and arouse the resentment of local residents. These are all healthy leeks. Of course they need to be harvested properly. So Senju Starry Night also chose 140 this open space in the Eastern District. Then, a multi-layer 3-bedroom, 2-living-room technique directly created several apartment buildings on the spot. When did the people of Iwagakure see such a big scene? One by one was taken aback at first, and then looked at the completed apartment building, and became curious again in their hearts, so they surrounded them one by one. This is what Senju Starry Night wanted. After arranging for Boss Zhao to sell, he leisurely went to the mall to lose it. It seems that clothes are going to change the appearance of Iwagakure's ecological environment. Then, when Onoki arrived, what he saw was a large group of people surrounded by Wu Yanyan, who was listening to Boss Zhao eloquently talking about the various benefits of Senju real estate. Want to turn your child into an excellent ninja? Want to put your child ahead of everyone else from the start? What are you waiting for? This is a unique opportunity. As long as 5 million kills, your children can win at the starting line. If you buy 5 million cars, you can't lose money. And you can't be fooled. Senju real estate has steadily increased the speed of chakra cohesion. The top-notch fashion apartment specially designed for ninjas will give you a warm and home-like feeling. What? No money? No problem. If you need money, you can find Senju Bank. The interest rate is only 5% per period below 1 million, 10% per period between 1 million and 10 million, and 20% per period between 10 million and 50 million. You only need to pay a small amount of money to own a Senju real estate that will affect your child's life. What are you waiting for? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you miss it, it will definitely be your biggest loss this year. The prestige of Senju real estate is obviously not only known to the top management of Rock Shinobi, but even the common people know the effect of Senju real estate. This also depends on the propaganda that the Horn Boss spares no effort. It's all about money. After all, as long as it is for money, Boss Tong will never say that he is a tired minister. The crowd of onlookers chattered at once, their faces full of eagerness to try. Is it really a Senju property? I heard that as long as you live in a Senju property, your child will definitely become a jonin in the future. Although 5 million is very expensive, as long as the child becomes a jonin and completes a few tasks casually at that time, won't the money come back? I can't bear the fact that children can't catch wolves. This is also a necessary initial investment. I bought it. What should I do if I don't have enough money? I don't want my child to lose at the starting line. Didn't you hear the people above? Go to Senju Bank if you don't have any money. Buy the house first, and pay it back later when you can make money. Some people have a lot of faith in Senju properties, but there are also dudes full of doubts. It's just a house. Can it really have such a magical effect? This effect is too exaggerated. Do you believe it, Auntie? Kbf. I don't believe it. It must be a lie, someone questioned, and someone next to them gave the manway. Brother, you haven't tried it. I have a nephew's son of my 8th aunt's uncle's brother-in-law who bought a Senju property in Konoha village. Now the child is only 9 years old, and he has already reached the genin level of chakra. What you said is true. It's true. Don't believe it, everyone. He must be Chuo. No, I know him. I've been his neighbor for decades. He's definitely not Do. Listen to me, you are right. Even if you borrow money to buy it, you will definitely not lose money. Hesitant people start to waver. But as more and more people buy, seeing the number of apartment rooms gradually shrinking, these people can't help it. Give me a set. Me too. Give me a set too. Seeing the bustling scene like a vegetable market, Inoki was about to vomit blood. What is the price that the corner boss just said? 5 million sets? It's too expensive too. He remembered that the price of Senju real estate in Konoha was not so expensive. How come they're Iwagakure? The price straight up, simply bullying. Onoki spat out a mouthful of blood, and passed out again. Oops, Master Tsuchikage fainted again. The whole selling process didn't take long. More than 2,000 apartments sold out in just 3 hours. The most important thing is that Onoki did not grab a set, because Onoki passed out the whole time. As for the shops in the shopping mall, the speed of sales is even faster. It sold out in less than half an hour. Most are loans. That is, most people in Iwagakure now borrow money from Senju properties. It's been a good trip, and I'll leave the finishing touches to you. Senju Kusanai nodded contentedly, and turned to look at Boss Zhao. I'm going to report on the situation here. Boss Zhao is also smiling, in a very good mood. Don't worry, boss. Don't worry about my work. When did I ever go wrong? Senju Kusanai smiled. There are many other things to say, but when it comes to money, Boss Zhao is indeed Senju Kusanai's most trusted person. Just because of Boss Zhao's pious attitude towards Jinkian, he knew that it would be no problem to entrust him. Now, most of those present bought Senju properties. Those who didn't buy it because the house was sold out. There are still many people who have not bought. After all, many people have not arrived. But it doesn't matter. This is only the first issue. No matter what, let the Iwagakure residents who are waiting to see the effect of Senju real estate, so as to arouse the enthusiasm of the residents for consumption. I believe that it won't be long before everyone in Iwagakure will be burdened with loans from Senju Bank. At that time, Senju Starry Knight will be the one who secretly controls Iwagakure. Chapter 90. Since there is no problem, let's sign the agreement. The wind and dust are billowing, and the sky is full of yellow sand. Traveled all the way to Tsunade, the land of winds. 4th Kazekage Liu Osha, who had received the news in advance, personally brought people to greet him. After seeing Senju Starry Knight, I immediately greeted him enthusiastically. Welcome to the Senju Patriarch. As Tsunade Kazekage, I will definitely make the distinguished guests feel the warmth of home. Senju Kusanai looked at Scenery Liu Osha with a hypocritical smile in front of him, and a hypocritical smile appeared on his face. Master Kazekage came to welcome me personally. I am really flattered. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. You are welcome. Liu Osha brought Senju Starry Knight's wood clone and Zhao Boss shadow clone to the reception room of Fenying building. After taking off the Fenying cap, Liu Osha said with a false smile. When the distinguished guests came, they should have hosted a banquet, but Tsunade hadn't recovered from the war just now, so I can only entertain some simple meals. Please don't be polite to the Senju Patriarch. As she spoke, Liu Osha clapped her hands, and soon a girl covered with a veil brought a plate to the table. Master Kazekage is too polite, Senju Kusanai said with a smile, and glanced at the dishes on the plate. Just looking at it, Senju Starry Knight doesn't have much appetite. The rough-colored steamed buns, the vegetable soup that faded into the clear soup, and a few stir-fried beans. For Senju Starry Knight, who is used to delicacies from mountains and seas, this is not a meal at all. And what Liu Osha meant was obvious. It's a sellout. To gain sympathy, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Thank you very much for the hospitality of Master Kazekage, but I also have important matters to come here this time. So let's start with the important things first. After it's over, I'll be the master. I invite Lord Kazekage to have a big meal in Konoha. Stingy. Liu Osha cursed secretly in her heart. With the current situation, can he leave Tsunade and go to Konoha village to enjoy it? If the people at the bottom know about this, they might overthrow him. Senju Star Yiming knew this and invited him to Konoha. It's just ulterior motives. Of course, on the surface, Liu Osha still has the hypocritical smile that he has practiced for a long time. Let's forget about the treats. I'm so busy with work that I really can't get away. Since Chief Senju has spoken, let's begin. But, alas, Liu Osha sighed deeply. The hypocritical smile on his face was no longer there, but a frowning expression instead. To be honest, since I heard the news from Baki, I have had trouble sleeping and eating. 2 billion is really too much. The current Tsunade simply cannot afford such a large amount of compensation. Senju Kusanai poses in the classic pose of Commander Ikari, which brings a strong sense of oppression to Liu Osha. Since that's the case, what does Kazukage-sama plan to do? If money is not enough, Senju Bank, can help. Liu Osha's eyes lit up. Really? Senju Kusanai glanced at the corner boss next to him. Boss Zhao understood, took out the abacus and calculated it, and got the same result as Iwagakure. After hearing the high interest rate, Liu Osha couldn't help but widen his eyes in shock. This is Minkyang, right? Usury is not as scary as you. Because I can't pay back the loan sharks, I can still fight, but I really can't beat you. Liu Osha secretly calculated in his heart. If it is 30% interest, it will cost more than 3.8 billion in 3 years. Almost doubled. This is too exaggerated. Money is never so fast. Of course, if Lord Liu Osha really can't afford it, I have another plan here. Liu Osha asked immediately. Please, Patriarch Senju, please open your mouth. If I can do it, I will definitely not refuse. Senju Kusanai smiled, and took out a map that recorded the topography of the Valley of the Wind in detail. Liu Osha's eyelids couldn't help but twitch. But Liu Osha's reaction was much calmer than Onogi's. After all, most of the Kingdom of Winds is desert, and the terrain can change easily. Therefore, the timeliness of the map in Senju Kusanai's hand is not high. Maybe there will be a sandstorm tonight, and the terrain will change. After Senju Kusanai took out the map, he randomly drew a circle at several positions near Konoha. If Master Fenying doesn't want to borrow money, you can sell these lands to my bank, and my bank will pay 2 billion yuan in compensation. Liu Osha stared at the map carefully, trying to recall what is worth paying attention to in these places. But after thinking for a long time, Liu Osha didn't think of it either. First, there is no oasis here, and second, there are no minerals. In fact, it is a completely worthless place. Asking for flowers. But is Senju Starry Night going to lose money? Of course not. In fact, these places are all several large mines discovered by Kianzi Kusanai's avatars. The location is deeper, but nothing for Senju Starry Night. A wood style can completely open up a solid and reliable mine, and then you can just dig it hard. The value of these minerals is conservatively estimated to be in the tens of billions or more. Therefore, it is impossible for Senju Starry Night to make a loss-making business. After confirming that these places were of no value, Liu Osha decided to agree. But don't appear urgent, but show a tangled look. Only in this way can Senju Kusanai go back on his word. These places, actually. Oh, forget it, the current Iwagakure doesn't have that energy anymore. Liu Osha's face was full of confusion, and then it turned into a deep sigh, and his shoulders drooped weakly. Since Chief Senju is interested, let's follow what Chief Kian said. Although we have suffered huge losses, there is nothing we can do about it. However, Liu Osha was laughing wildly in his heart at this moment. Senju Kusanai, this stupid ex, even picked a few hairs and didn't have a place. It's so stupid. The 2 billion debts were wiped out, and only a few dollars were paid for where no one wanted it. It's so cool. Since there is no problem, let's sign the agreement. Senju Kusanai took out the contract and handed it over to Liu Osha. Looking at the contract that had already been prepared, Liu Osha was suddenly taken aback. Something seems to be wrong? But Liu Osha couldn't figure out what was wrong. Do not care. Get rid of debt first. More on that later. Liu Osha didn't care what happened, and directly signed his name on the contract. Senju Kusanai withdrew the contract with a smile and handed it over to Boss Zhao. The payment of war compensation has been settled, and it is time to discuss the settlement of the Shimonoseki real estate. Liu Osha immediately said with a smile. I don't know which place the Senju Patriarch has taken a fancy to, as long as the price is right, anywhere is fine. Senju Kusanai smiled and said, in that case, let's go here. I think it's a nice place here. Chapter 91. Of course, welcome. Liu Osha saw the place Senju Kusanai was pointing at, and was stunned. Patriarch Senju, what do you mean? Why choose outside the village? The place Senju Starry Night chose is outside Iwagakure, and in front of the main entrance. This is also the result of Senju's Starry Night deliberation. Because the inside of Iwagakure is too dense, there is not enough space for Senju Starry Night to deploy. Simply build apartments directly outside the village. This is also more convenient. If it's here, how much does Fenkage-sama think it will cost to sell it to me? Senju Kusanai said with a smile, and threw a difficult problem to Liu Osha. If it was in a village, Liu Osha would definitely speak loudly. After all, if it is built in a village, the previous buildings need to be demolished, and the villagers whose houses have been demolished need to be appeased. These are all excuses for Liu Osha to negotiate 163. But now, Senju Starry Night directly chooses outside the village. Now let Liu Osha claw. This is how to do? In this situation, Liu Osha couldn't speak casually. Of course, if Liu Osha's face is thick enough, he can call a sky-high price. Does Liu Osha have a thick skin? Of course thick. But he dare not. The current initiative is firmly in the hands of Senju Kusanai. Whenever Liu Osha dares to be presumptuous, Senju Kusanai dares to turn around and leave. When a Senju property is gone, it is not Senju Starry Night who is crying. Therefore, Liu Osha does not touch the bottom line of Senju Starry Night. Now seeing Senju Starry Night's choice, Liu Osha really made a difficult decision. The thought of wanting to charge more money can only be restrained. What a business genius to create such a family property for Senju. It was easy to see through my plan. Really great. Liu Osha admired it in his heart, and felt more and more that there was something wrong with the places Senju Kusanai had chosen before. Why would such a person choose those barren lands? Is there a secret that I don't even know? It's too bad. Now the more I expect to lose, the more uncomfortable my daughter-in-law will be. No, I can't think about it anymore. Concentrate. Cool. Liu Osha took a few deep breaths to clear away his chaotic thoughts, and immediately offered a price. How about 100 million? Liu Osha's attitude was cautious. Kian Kusanai's choice was beyond his expectation. When he saw Senju Kusanai frowning, he suddenly trembled with fear. Afraid that Senju Kusanai just shook his head and left. The price is negotiable. Liu Osha hurriedly continued. Senju Kusanai frowned, but his heart was already happy. 100 million was originally the price in his heart, but when this price was proposed by Liu Osha, it was no longer. In particular, Liu Osha still insisted that they could be negotiated. Isn't this clearly asking him to bargain? As a real estate developer, buying a large piece of land for 100 million is already a big deal. Even if there is nothing on the ground, or because there is nothing, Senju Starry Night chose this place. Such a place is convenient to deal with. Then, Senju Kusanai frowned, pretending to be embarrassed, then shook his head and said, "The price is a bit high," Liu Osha said with a smile. Then, "How much does Patriarch Senju think is appropriate?" Seeing his pitiful look, Senju Kusanai thought about it and still didn't cut the price in half. "Just 60 million, that's not a lot." "Cool." Liu Osha let out a long breath. The price was better than he expected. "Then it's settled." "I don't know when these payments will be paid." Senju Kusanai waved his hand and said with a smile, "There's no rush for now, I'm talking about building the house." When Liu Osha thought about it, she wasn't in a hurry anymore. He also wanted to see how the wood-style house was built. For the land of winds in the desert terrain, there are not many plants, let alone the wood style. After signing the land sale agreement, Senju Kusanai had just stepped out of the door of the meeting room, and then took the foot back. "How about this, Your Excellency Fenning? It seems that your village has some financial problems. Why don't I buy more land to alleviate your financial problems?" Liu Osha was overjoyed when he heard the words. "Of course, you are welcome." "I don't know which place the Senju Patriarch will choose this time," Senju Kusanai said with a smile. "It's the same as the place it was connected to before. The repurchase agreement was signed soon." Senju Starry Night bought 4 more plots at the same price. If it wasn't for the fear of being noticed, Senju Starry Night would have bought the entire land of winds. It's so cheap. But if it is too much, it is easy to be backlashed. If Liu Osha sees it, this kind of bargain hunting will disappear. Liu Osha put away the contract, with a sincere smile on his face. Now there is an income of 300 million, the pension for the ninja who died in battle, and the money to buy food. Everything is moving in a good direction. Tsunade should be able to quickly get through the aftermath of this war and quickly enter the development period. After Senju Starry Night starts the landscaping operation of the Land of Winds, the national strength of the Land of Winds will also increase rapidly. At that time, it will not be the tail of the crane of the 5 major countries. The more Liu Osha thought about it, the more excited she became, and the smile on her face couldn't be concealed at all. Senju Kusanai is also full of smiles, very happy with this deal. This may be a win-win situation. Both sides feel they have won. However, in reality, Senju Starry Night does not know how much he has won. Everyone happily came to the gate of Iwagakure, ready to watch the Senju Starry Night performance. The villagers who heard the news on the road also followed curiously. But looking at Senju Kusanai alone, the villagers who didn't know why expressed their doubts. Why is there only one person? Where's the construction team? How long does it take for one person to build? I'm afraid that in the desert, it may not be possible to build it every year, right? Have we been duped? Someone who understood immediately looked at these guys with contempt. 0.7 Are you guys stupid? They used wood-style ninjutsu to build a house. Not only is your house strong, but it also has the effect of increasing the speed of chakras cohesion. When someone builds a house, they can finish it in the blink of an eye. I'll buy one when it's finished, no matter how much it costs. With such a house, you can only make money and not lose money. This is the top house that affects a ninja's life. People are excited to try it out, looking forward expectantly. A house that can increase the speed of chakras condensation. There is such a magical house. Definitely getting one. Buy even if you break the bank. Senju Kusanai moved his hands and feet. Then clap your hands and get what you want. Wood-style multiple 3 bedrooms and 2 halls technique. Accompanied by a burst of shaking, a thick branch emerged from the ground under the eyes of everyone. Chapter 92 Greening is $1 million per mu. More and more branches emerged, intertwined, and then formed the shape of a house in an unimaginable way. The houses are stacked one on top of the other to form a 30-story condominium. And not just one, there are 8 of them. Each apartment has more than 300 houses. 8 apartments are more than 2,000 houses. The specifications of the house are divided into 2 rooms and 1 living room, and 3 rooms and 2 living rooms. The former has a unified price of 3 million, and the latter has a unified price of 5 million. Continued to give a speech by the corner boss. The exorbitant price made the villagers unacceptable, but when they heard that they could get a loan from Senju Bank, all of them lost their scruples immediately. What about loans with interest? After returning from studies and becoming a jonin, wouldn't it be easy to earn millions? With such an idea in mind, the buying tide of village fans cannot stop at all. More than 2,000 houses were sold out in less than 2 hours. Much faster than Iwagakure's. Senju Tsunade watched the scene, both happy and sad. I am happy that I have made a lot of money again, and a large number of leeks have entered the stage of being harvested. It's a pity that 21 is not enough chakra this time, so I can't use all the purchased land. He still has some left over for other things, and Luosha was dumbfounded. The expensive price of the apartment house fell on Luosha like a bolt from the blue, splitting his whole body to grey and white, as if a gust of wind could blow it away. Compared with the price of an apartment house, what is the little money he wants? Totally drizzle. Not worth mentioning at all. Fortunately, he thought that Senju Tsunade really wanted to help him by buying more land. It turned out that he was slaughtering the wronged person. Thinking of this, Luosha blushed with anger. But he didn't even dare to ask Senju Tsunade to make a theory, because in black and white, the contract has already been signed. Luosha couldn't even regret it. He can't bear the consequences of repenting. The patriarch of Senju is indeed a business genius. Luosha looked at Senju Tsunade bitterly, and said with a wry smile, "It really is a good method." Senju Tsunade smiled, showing no sense of shame at all. As a qualified businessman, I don't know where to throw away the sense of shame. He stepped forward and grabbed Luosha's shoulders, and said with a smile, "Just think of it as spending money to buy a lesson, so that you won't suffer too much in the future. By the way, there is another project coming up. I wonder if Master Kazekage wants to come with me?" Rosa said bitterly. "Is it a matter of greening? I don't know what price the Senju Patriarch wants us to pay." He understood it. Senju Starry Night does not trade at a loss at all. For such an important thing as greening, Senju Starry Night must have squeezed all the value out of Tsunagakure for it. Luosha realized that she was doing this for the future of Tsunagakure. Totally lures wolves into the house. But now he couldn't even drive the wolf away. They could only watch helplessly as the other party exploited Tsunagakure's few assets. It seems that I can only use my escape technique, Luosha thought to himself, and decided to use his magnet style to find enough gold dust after Senju Tsunade left, so as to repay the price. This was the only way Luosha could think of. The matter of selling the house is handed over to Boss Zhao. Senju Tsunade brought Luosha and a high-level Tsunagakure to the edge of the Land of Winds. This is the place agreed to be ceded to Konoha village. In this way, Senju Starry Night will be greened for the Land of Winds. Originally, Luosha took it for granted that after ceding these lands, Senju Starry Night would be able to green the entire Land of Winds. But now it seems that things will definitely not go as he thought. Even if Luosha doesn't understand economics, he can see that the value of these lands is much lower than that of the landscaping in the entire Land of Winds. A smart businessman like Senju Tsunade will definitely not give them greening for free. Okay, here we are. Arriving at the predetermined location, Genji Tsunade turned around and looked at Tsunagakure and the others. "Let everyone take a look at the effect of greening." Snapped. "Clap your hands, get what you want." Wood-style middle. The tree world is coming. The ground began to shake violently. The chakra I got from Ninetales started to be consumed rapidly. Then, under the shocked eyes of the Tsunagakure executives, the forest grew out of the ground. Originally it was just a barren desert, but the next moment, thousands or even tens of thousands of trees appeared in front of my eyes. They couldn't count the exact number, because a whole forest had already appeared in front of them. It is rumored that the entire forest around Konoha was created by the ninjutsu of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. I don't quite believe it yet, but now it seems that it can be done. Luosha murmured, and his whole body fell into a deep shock. He saw the hope of the Land of Winds being greened, but the price that needs to be paid makes him despair. Wood style is really a good thing. Seeing that Senju Tsunade managed to create an incomparably rich property with just one wood style, Luosha felt all kinds of envy and jealousy in his heart. Pity. This is the blood succession boundary that belongs exclusively to the Senju clan, and no one else can control it anymore. Still retaining a trace of chakra to maintain the existence of wood clone, Senju Starry Night came to the Tsunagakure crowd. "This is the effect of greening. How is it?" "Not bad. Not only is it good, it's simply great. Too good to be hopeless." Along the way, Luosha had already explained to these people the price they might pay, but now it seems that 097 wants to spread this kind of scene throughout the Kingdom of Wind, and the price they need to pay is not known how high it will be. "If we want to popularize green belts, what kind of compensation do we need to pay?" Rosa said in a hoarse voice. As soon as the words opened, Luosha was taken aback. His voice is just too dry. "This is all scary." Senju Tsunade smiled and said, "For the convenience of calculation, I plan to charge by mu. The first 100 acres are free, which is the price for Tsunagakure to cede these lands. After that, 1 million tals will be charged for each mu of land. 1 million can only buy 1/3 of 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, or 1/5 of 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms." That doesn't sound like much. But this is only 1 acre of land. How big is the map of the Kingdom of the Winds? From the map, the area of the Kingdom of Wind can be said to be the largest among the 5 major countries. But because most of it is desert, it is so barren. If you want to afforest the entire land of winds, it may take hundreds of billions of dollars to make it possible. This price, because of it, Liu Osha said bitterly, this is not a price they can bear at all. However, Senju Kusanai smiled and said, is Kazukage-sama a bit of a dead end? Actually, you don't have to pay all the money. Chapter 93. If you can't afford it, you can find someone else to pay for it. Hearing Senju Kusanai's words, Fannying Liu Osha seemed to grasp the straw that saved his life. What does the Senju patriarch think? Please say so. Liu Osha was very excited when he thought that he didn't need to pay such a huge fee. But what exactly is going on here? He still needs to confirm it carefully. Never fall into the trap laid by Senju Starry Night. Senju Kusanai smiled and pointed in one direction. I think that those who are concerned about the landscaping of the Land of Winds should not be the only one who cares about the landscaping. Liu Osha blankly turned back in the direction Senju Kusanai pointed, thinking quickly about what lies ahead on this road. Suddenly, Liu Osha's body shook. It's a daimyo. Liu Osha's eyes widened, and there was a touch of surprise in his eyes. That's right. The Land of Winds is not our Tsunagecure's, it's the daimyo's Land of Winds. Why should I, Tsunagecure, be in charge of greening the Land of Winds? Shouldn't this be the responsibility of the daimyo? As expected of the Senju patriarch, he solved the problem I was facing at once. Liu Osha said with admiration. As long as he can get rid of this hot potato, Liu Osha doesn't need to worry about being burdened with heavy debts. As for who will bear the debt, it is natural that the daimyo of the Land of Winds will be responsible. He is a small Tsunagecure Kazukage, so don't worry about such national affairs. It is the right way to recuperate and strengthen Tsunagecure's strength. Senju Kusanai saw that Liu Osha understood what he meant, and said with a smile, I would also like to trouble Mr. Kazukage to submit my quotation to the ears of Mr. Daimyo of your country. Liu Osha's eyes flickered for a moment, and he immediately said in embarrassment, I don't know if the price can be tolerated. I am afraid that this price will not be acceptable to Mr. Want to take the opportunity to lower the price. Can I let you succeed? Senju Kusanai sneered in his heart, with a look of pity on his face. There's nothing I can do about it. This price is already extremely cheap. Like the greening price at Iwagakure, I plan to use 2 million per mu. When Liu Osha heard this, she immediately didn't think about lowering the price. He was afraid that he would be under pressure, and he would not even have the chance to green. If you haven't seen it, it's okay to say that Liu Osha has witnessed the whole process of Senju's Starry Night greening, and Liu Osha can't refuse the far-reaching event of greening the Land of Winds. In this case, let me put the quilt on to persuade the daimyo. I hope the daimyo can understand the significance of this matter. Liu Osha sighed half-truthfully. He was really worried that the daimyo didn't understand the importance of greenery. Instead, he guards his own 1-acre 3-point land and does not want to invest too much money. Otherwise, the situation facing Liu Osha would be very serious. In that case, I'm leaving. The subsequent apartment construction itself will send people to build it again. Master Kazukage, please wait patiently. Senju Kusanai sees that things are basically done, and he doesn't plan to stay for a long time. He's just a wood clone anyway. Just a tool man. After finishing speaking, Liu Osha did not wait for her reaction. Make a seal with both hands, and then the whole person gradually turns into a dry branch and falls to the ground. Worthy of being the wood style that quells troubled times. It's really powerful. If we can have it, we can complete the landscaping of the wind country by ourselves. At that time, with the land area of the Land of Wind, the resources that can be possessed will be more abundant than the Land of Fire. It's a pity, alas. Liu Osha shook her head regretfully, turned around and left with San Shinobi, who was also regretful. They didn't go in the direction of Tsunagecure. Instead, they walked towards the city where the daiming mansion was located in a tacit understanding. In any case, persuading the daimyo to agree to greening the Land of Winds is the most crucial thing at present. Everything must be compromised in front of this matter. Why hasn't that guy Full Moon come back? A baby-faced guy propped his cheek, whining. How long has it been? It's just a peace agreement. Why did it take so long? A trembling old man sat on a chair and said in a weak and trembling voice, Yugura, you are in too much of a hurry. As a movie star, you shouldn't be so impatient. Citrus Yugura restrained the irritability on his face, and said seriously, sorry, Master Yuan, I will pay attention. The old man known as Yuan nodded. Yugura, who became the 4th Mizukage during the war, is working his way up the Iwagakure ethos. In this war, Iwagakure suffered heavy losses. The 7 ninja swordsmen, whose reputation resounded throughout the ninja world, suffered heavy losses, and few came back alive. The point is that there are no ninjas who can inherit these ninja swords. That's enough of a headache for the Citrus Yugura. Not to mention the pensions of those ninjas who died in battle. That is also a huge sum of money. How to get the money is also very troublesome. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Citrus Yugura frowned. This is his home. Why would someone knock on the door, and not in Mizukage's office? Who is it? Citrus Yugura asked vigilantly. I'm from Senju, and I'm here to deliver takeout. Citrus Yura was taken aback. I haven't bought takeout. Have I? Could it be sent by mistake? It's mine. Master Yuan raised his hand tremblingly. Citrus Yura's eyes widened suddenly. Master Yuan? Seeing Yuan Shi standing up tremblingly, he wanted to open the door slowly. Although Yura couldn't understand, she stepped forward to help open the door. Outside the door is a delivery ninja wearing a Senju deliveryman costume. In his hand is an insulated food box. Which name is Master Yuan? Your takeaway has arrived. Citrus Yura turned sideways, revealing the Yuan Shi behind him. The delivery guy turned his gaze away. You are Mr. Yuan Shi, Zhao Dazhao, right? This is the Konoha Iwagakure luxury ramen you ordered, and Chenghui has a total of 12,000 faces. Litsu Yura's eyes widened when he heard the unbelievable amount. Why is it so expensive? Isn't it just a bowl of ramen? 10,000 broken ramen noodles, only 20 or 30 tals. Why does Konoha's ramen cost more than 10,000 tals? Almost up to a genin's pension. Master Yuan took the ramen, smelled the aroma of the ramen, nodded in satisfaction and said, "It smells good. As long as you are satisfied, please comment here. Please give a 5-star praise." The takeaway said with a smile. After Yuan Shi finished evaluating, the delivery man bowed and said, "Have a good meal." Then with a whoosh, he left in an instant. Master Yuan? What's going on here? Citrus Yura stopped in front of Master Yuan, staring at him with a deep expression. Chapter 94. Expensive is expensive. Huh? Do you want to eat? Master Yuan looked at Yura with doubts. It just so happens that I can't eat this bowl. Boom. Yura snatched the Iwagakure ramen from Yuan Shi's hand, put it heavily on the table, and said with a serious face, "We can't even pay the pension for ninjas who died in battle now. In the end, you spent more than 10,000 tals for such an outrageous bowl of noodles. If you want to eat ramen, can't you go to the roadside stand and buy one?" Master Yuan said slightly aggrieved. "But I want to try it. I've been hearing how delicious Iwagakure luxury ramen in Konoha village is. It's rare to be peaceful now, so I can order a taste. Otherwise, during the war, the freight alone would cost 10,000 tals." Citrus Yura said angrily. "How much is the shipping cost now?" 2,000 tals. 10,000 tals of ramen. Citrus Yura kept taking deep breaths, for fear that he would not catch his breath and faint here. "The price is outrageous too. Is this ramen mixed with gold? It's so expensive. This bowl of noodles is enough for a family of 3 for more than a month." Master Yuan, you are not allowed to buy takeout after 67, especially Konoha village takeout. Citrus Yura solemnly warned. Master Yuan nodded aggrievedly, staring longingly at the ramen all the time. "Yura, noodles are not good if they are lumpy. Let me take a bite first, and we'll talk about the rest later." "Who said you can't be impatient when you're a shadow?" "Thanks to your ex-agent Ms. Yukage for being able to speak quietly what you look like now. Such extravagance and waste. Didn't you see that some families are almost unable to open the pot? It's really disgusting." Citrus Yura scolded in his heart, and scolded Senju's takeaway bloody. But the matter has come to this point, he can only sigh and tell Master Yuan to eat more slowly. Then I ate half a bowl of Citrus Yura, which was aroused by curiosity. I have to say that the taste is really not comparable to the ramen on the roadside. It was so delicious. But Yura still thinks that 10,000 bowls are too expensive. Perhaps only the wealthy guys like Konoha can afford it. After eating the noodles, Master Yuan went directly to rest. Goji Yura plans to go to the Ms. Yukage office to continue working. Then on the road, CBDJ, he saw the messenger sent to Konoha, the ghost lamp full moon. He is also one of the current 7 ninja swordsmen, and a user of the double knife flounder. Beside Ghost Lantern Full Moon, there is a handsome man with a handsome appearance and a slender figure. This man is so handsome. He is even more handsome than me. Kyuji Yura was secretly surprised, and then saw another masked man. Yura recognized this man. It's the corner boss of Senju Properties. Then the identity of this handsome man should be the current Senju Patriarch, Senju Starry Night, right? Citrus Yura saw Senju Starry Night and the others, and Senju Starry Night naturally also saw Citrus Yura. Ghost Lantern Moon had an ugly expression on his face. The two sides met in the middle of the street. Ghost Lantern Full Moon immediately introduced her to both parties. Master Ms. Yukage, this is the Patriarch of Senju in Konoha Forest, Lord Renman Kusanai. This is the owner of Senju Real Estate, Mr. Kakazu. I've seen Ms. Yukage-sama, but I didn't expect Ms. Yukage-sama to be so young, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Citrus Yura nodded and said, I know both of you, and it's a great honor to meet you both here. This is not a place to talk. Why don't you two follow me to the meeting room to do something? No problem, Senju Starry Night replied. So Yura led the way and entered a relatively spacious conference room in the Ms. Yukage building. After closing the door, there were only 4 people left in the room. Citrus Yura said straight to the point. Clan Chief Senju came here on purpose, presumably because of the peace agreement. I don't know what price we have to pay. Senju Kusanai nodded, but did not speak, but set his eyes on the Ghost Lamp Full Moon. Ghost Lamp Full Moon hurriedly leaned into Yura's ear and explained Konoha's conditions. What? 2 billion. Yura yelled in panic, without any calmness that Mizukage should have. Impossible. Iwagakure can't come up with so much money. Even if the whole Iwagakure works hard, it's impossible to get it out within a year or two. That's a lot of money. He turned his head to look at Senju Kusanai, and said awkwardly, now Iwagakure's finances are unable to pay the money. I wonder if there is a grace period. Don't bother, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. My Senju bank provides low-interest loans. If you loan 2 billion, the interest will be 40% per installment, 1 installment a year, a total of 3 installments. That is to say, after 3 years, you only need to pay 4.4 billion, as long as it's alright. Citrus-Yura resists the urge to roll his eyes. This is simply a money grab, directly doubled in 3 years after the loan. This is too outrageous. Citrus-Yura directly shook his head and refused. No, I really can't accept this price. Since this is the case, we have nothing to talk about. Senju Kusanai got up and walked towards the door. This straightforward move made Yura dumbfounded. No, why don't you counter the price? Shouldn't you counter the offer? Only after you counter offer can I know the price in your heart. Now Yura is Monk Jang can't figure it out. Why did Ghost Lantern Moon go to Konoha and owe a debt of 2 billion? And why did Ghost Lamp Full Moon agree? Could it be that man betrayed himself? Citrus-Yura is full of doubts. But now is not the time to think about that. Seeing that Senju Kusanai was about to leave without looking back, Yura hurriedly called Yuan Kusanai to stop. Paul, Patriarch Senju, I have something to discuss. Senju stared back, frowning slightly. What does Mizukage-sama want to say? Yura sighed and said, I can take out a loan, but it doesn't cost any interest. Can I go a little further? Senju Starry Night nodded. Can. Citrus-Yura is overjoyed. That -1%. That's 39% interest. The smile on Yura's face froze for a moment. You might as well not give this offer. Forget it. Something is better than nothing. 39 is 39. Bring me the agreement. I'll sign it. Right now there is no other way. Yura can only accept this proposal of Senju Starry Night. Otherwise, I am afraid that the next war will meet Iwagakure. At that time, Konoha will directly invade Iwagakure, and they alone will not be able to resist Konoha's offensive. Even if Konoha didn't send all the Kage-level masters, their Iwagakure wouldn't last for a few days. Chapter 95 Chenghui. A bridge is 50 million yuan. A smile appeared on Senju Kusanai's face when Yura agreed to sign the contract. That's right. Only by living in peace can we make a fortune. After signing, Senju Kusanai talked to Yura about buying land. The Citrus-Yura is also not immune to the allure of Senju properties. After some bargaining, Dan Kusanai bought a piece of land for 100 million yuan to build a record. Citrus-Yura thought at first, just like Onoki and Liu Osha, that they had already taken advantage of themselves. But when Yura heard how much a house in Naruto was selling for, he immediately knew that the price was lower. But there is no way. Those who lose the initiative will naturally pay more. The price. Citrus-Yura's baby face is extremely gloomy, but helpless. Don't be so angry. Senju Kusanai laughed, completely unaware of making people angry. 2 of the 3 most important things for me to come here have been done. There's one last thing left. That's building bridges. I wonder if Master Mizukage is interested in coming with me. Walk. Citrus-Yura gritted his teeth and said with a gloomy face, Yura would have killed Senju Kusanai on the spot if he could. But it doesn't make any sense to do so. The person standing in front of him is not Senju Kusanai himself, but just a clone. It is useless to kill him. The group came to the edge of the island where Iwagakure was located. An island can be seen ahead, about 3 kilometers away. How long does it take to build a bridge? Can it be built in a few days? Citrus-Yura asked blankly. How many days? Mizukage-sama underestimates me too much. It's no wonder that it's not enough. Mizukage-sama probably hasn't seen me cast word style, so it's no wonder I don't know. Senju Starry Night doesn't care about Yura's attitude either. Compared with Onoki and Liu Osha, Yura's liking is directly on his face because of his age. Like is like, hate is hate. Very simple and clear. Senju Kusanai is used to dealing with this kind of people. Senju Kusanai doesn't want to deal with the kind of guy who looks at you and turns 800 thoughts. Heart-tired. It's much easier to talk to someone like Ibura who can't hide his thoughts. There is no need to worry about the other party's various conspiracies and tricks. Doing business with such a person is easy and enjoyable. Of course, the relaxed and happy one is Thousand Stars Night. Senju Kusanai doesn't care how the other party feels. He is not someone else's parents, so what to do with so much? Senju Starry Night came to the shore. Snapped. Wood style middle. Clap your hands together technique. Boom. The ground began to tremble. Huge momentum. Then, a thick vine emerged from the ground, and according to Senju Kusanai's idea, it rushed straight towards the island in front of it. Soon, the vine spanned several kilometers and landed on the island. That's not all. The top of the vines gradually deformed, and a passage appeared for several people to walk in parallel. There were handrails on both sides that reached the chest height of adults to prevent people from falling into the sea. Senju Kusanai is so careful. I cried to death. Alright. Finished and called it a day. Senju Kusanai looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction. The overall emerald green arched bridge has a solid wooden column supporting the bridge body every 200 meters, which can bear the weight of tens of thousands of people at the same time. Citrus opened his mouth wide in shock, unable to believe what he saw. This is too exaggerated. How could such a large bridge be built in an instant? Wood style is too convenient. For a moment, Yugura's heart was full of envy and jealousy. At this time, an open hand appeared in front of his eyes. Chenghui, Rizuokiao 50 million. Citrus Yugura tilted his head with question marks all over his face. You didn't seem to say you wanted money before, did you? Senju Yoruichi looked back at the boss with a puzzled face. Didn't I tell you? Boss Zhao shook his head and said, you really didn't say that. Yugura couldn't help but smile at the honest corner boss. It's just that the smile is too forced, which makes it ugly. It doesn't matter. Anyway, you heard it now. Senju Kusanai turned around and continued to ask for money with a calm face. Do you want this bridge? If you don't want me, I'll just leave. Citrus Yugura looked at Senju Kusanai's hateful face, and wanted to say that you can take it if you want. But looking at the bridge, he also knew what the various conveniences that the bridge could bring meant. It means that trade between islands has become more convenient, and it also means that the economy of Iwagakure and even the country of water can be rapidly improved. Asking for flowers. 0. This is definitely something that benefits the entire country of water. If he is rejected because of his temporary preference, he may become the eternal sinner of the whole Iwagakure. Even if Yugura is very impulsive, he can only bear with it. Good. The word almost popped out of Yugura's teeth. Senju Kusanai ignored Goji Yugura's sight of wanting to kill, and nodded in satisfaction. That's good. I'll build another bridge, so the money to buy the land will be offset. Saying that, Senju built another bridge to another island in a starry night. The shape of the bridge is different this time. The overall structure is actually a triangle. 0. The bridge body is very stable, and the support below is sufficient. Unless a Jonin-level ninja maliciously destroys it, there is no need to worry about safety issues, etc. Citrus Yugura's face was full of anger. How can you make decisions on your own? I haven't said when the second bridge will be built. He is still waiting to use the money from selling the land to distribute to the families of the ninjas who died in battle. As a result, Senju Starry Night did this and lost all the money. So what's the point of him selling the land? Senju Kusanai spread his hands like a rascal. I don't care about that. Anyway, these two accounts have already been settled. Your village still owes us a total of 4.2 billion. Please pay it back within 3 years. Kakazu, I leave this place to you. I'm going to take over my island. Senju Kusanai deliberately accentuated the word my and looked at Yugura's dark and ink-like baby face with a half smile, with a joyful smile on his face. Leave it to me, boss. Boss Zhao dutifully took out his abacus and stopped Yugura and the others. Senju Starry Night went to the islands that belonged to him. He wants to check the amount of mineral deposits on those islands, and open a convenient passage to go down by the way. In this way, it will be more convenient to bring workers to mine in the future. To the island, Senju Kusanai clapped his hands together. Directly use wood style to punch a hole on the edge of the island. In the deep and dark caves, there is a large amount of unmined chakra conductive metal. If these metals are mined and processed, it will be another day's money. Chapter 96. This scene is like a picture scroll. A few holes were drilled in several islands, and then covered with wood style to ensure that no one else saw it. Wood clone is automatically released directly. A large number of memories have been transmitted across a long distance to the main body staying in Konoha Senju's resident. The plan went well. Senju Kusanai closed his eyes to receive many messages. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Beside, Uzumaki Kushina peeled a grape for him and fed it into his mouth. The sweetness is good, and some production can be increased. Those big shots are willing to pay for these things. Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Uzumaki Kushina rolled his eyes. Think about it, really. Hearing his wife's complaints, Senju stared at the starry night with a big hand, and hugged this attractive young woman into his arms. After the 2 of 437 played for a while, Uzumaki Kushina panted to arrange her clothes, and rolled the eyes of Senju Yoruichi on the way. Go and see the children more. Don't think about how to make money all day long. Aren't you making enough money now? Senju Kusanai said with a smile. The more money, the better. But if you say that, could it be that there is something wrong with Nawu's cultivation? Uzumaki Kushina shook his head. That's not true. But now, apart from practicing, she just immerses herself in reading, and she doesn't have the vivacity of a child at all. I want to make her happier. As he spoke, Uzumaki Kushina had a look of concern in his eyes. You think she's unhappy? Senju Kusanai asked with a smile. There is a very good saying. You are not a fish. How to know the joy of fish? You're not Nu, so naturally you don't know if Nu is happy now. Don't use your own ideas to impose on others. That's not a good habit. Uzumaki Kushina stared at Senju Starry Night with starry eyes. As expected of a husband. The knowledge is so profound, and the words are so reasonable. Ha ha ha. Senju Starry Night laughed. got up and came to the yard of the net. Now Nu is 1 year and 8 months old, but he is more sensible than other 5 or 6-year-old children. When Senju came to the Starry Night, he was practicing body arts with a metal stick that Chakra said was made. Because of her unique talent, she has an extremely powerful bonus to physical skills. When the stick was waved in her hand, it carried tremendous power. But this power is hidden in the stick minister. Only when it touches the target will it explode completely. But the most surprising thing is the various chasers brought by Nu's talent, and those chasers carry extremely mysterious power. In addition to being able to attack the enemy according to Nu's will, it can also bring Nu various aspects of promotion. Seeing Senju Starry Night, a bright smile burst out on Nu's sullen little face. Father. Nu trotted into the arms of his citizen Tsunade with a lot of chasers of various colors behind him. At this time, she showed the liveliness of a child to her heart's content. Senju Tsunade easily picked up her daughter's light body. After all, she was only over 1 year old. You're still practicing today. Why don't you go out and play with your younger brothers and sisters? Senju Tsunade pinched Nu's little nose fondly, smiling all over his face. Uzumaki Kushina looked on fascinatedly at the side. The two most important people in her life. Father, I'll show you a whole thing. Nu jumped out of Senju Tsunade's arms, ran to the center of the yard, looked at his parents with excitement. A cute expression with a child who wants to surprise their parents. Both Senju Tsunade and Uzumaki Kushina watched dotingly. No matter what surprises Nu wanted to give them, they directed them to encourage and cheer. However, as the chasers behind Nu covered Nu's body, she was wrapped in a golden light. Senju Tsunade's smile suddenly froze on his face. Uzumaki Kushina didn't know so, just watched in amazement. But as Nu's figure in Jinguing's Hong gradually became bigger, even reaching the size of a girl, she finally opened her mouth in shock. This Senju Starry Night was no less shocked than Kushina. I didn't expect to be able to wake up. Is this the S-level talent? I thought I was already very powerful now, but compared to my daughter, I'm nothing. Senju Tsunade smiled wryly and shook his head. At this time, the golden light on Nu's body dissipated, revealing a beautiful girl. It looks exactly like the grown-up Nu, but the image only lasts for a second or so. Then, in a burst of golden light, it returned to its original size. It turned out that it was barely awakened, and it scared me to death. Senju stared at night and couldn't help but heaved a sigh of relief. At least he is better than his own daughter. If Nu really awakened the power of his blood, he might not be able to defeat Nu. That's an S+ talent, a peak 6 paths talent. He is only at the peak of cage level now, and he has not even reached beyond cage level. After completing the transformation, Nu looked a little tired, his face was covered with sweat, and he looked out of breath. Uzumaki Kushina looked at it, ignored the previous surprise, and stepped forward to hug his precious daughter with a distressed expression. Since you're so tired, don't force yourself. It would hurt both mother and father if I hurt you. Can't Nu let mother and father feel sad? Uzumaki Kushina spoke distressedly, wiping the sweat off her face. Nu knows. Mother, are you surprised? Nu lay happily in her mother's arms, smiling very happily. Surprised? Senju Tsunade stepped forward, embraced his wife and daughter, and said with a smile, Nu almost scared my father to death. Giggle. Nu suddenly laughed happily. The three embraced each other, and the setting sun shone on the three of them, as if covering them with a layer of dim gauze. 0.1. This warm scene is like a picture scroll, beautiful and moving. Cough cough. A deliberate cough interrupted the warm atmosphere. Senju Tsunade turned around and saw Senju Tsunade standing in front of the door with a weird smile on his face. Seeing this, Senju Tsunade opened his big hand and said to Senju Tsunade, "You came just in time." "What came just right?" Senju Tsunade rolled his eyes. "I'm waiting for you to eat." "What are you doing?" "The little guys are almost hungry." There was a blush on Uzumaki Kushina's cheeks. "Let's go quickly. Don't keep everyone waiting." Senju Tsunade was helpless and glared at Senju Tsunade, who disturbed the atmosphere. But who is Senju Tsunade? He immediately stared back. Chapter 97. I am Hokage. I have the final say. After the peace agreement and various compensations are settled, each ninja village has entered a period of peaceful development, and Konoha village is the first to bear the brunt. There is no need to worry about the threat of war. Let Gyanmin Kusanai wantonly expand in the kingdom of destruction. In a very short period of time, through the power of wood clone, 80% of the residents of the Land of Fire lived in Senju properties. Of course, most people cannot afford to buy a house, but that's okay. Senju Bank will do it. After all, they are from China. So Senju Bank directly offered a 3-year interest-free loan package and a 5-year low-interest loan package. This kind of preferential package directly dispelled the resistance of the Fire Country people to buying a house, and they moved into Senju real estate one after another. Become the future excellent leak. They all have dreams of turning their children into ninjas. In this world, while ninjas have power, they also earn a lot. As long as there is no war, it is a very ideal profession. But most civilians don't have this channel to get in touch with ninja training, let alone become 21 ninjas. But Senju properties gave them that chance. The effect of Senju property to enhance chakra is obvious, especially in children. It is even more clear, even if all the civilians who moved in were burdened with loans, they were satisfied and looked forward to a bright future. Time passed not long. The effect of the Senju estate began to spread in other ninja villages. People found out what the boss of the original corner described to them could actually be realized, and now those ninjas who should have retreated because of the high price all pocketed a lot of money and said they wanted to buy real estate. If you don't have enough money, of course you can go to Senju Bank for a loan. Compared with the money from the loan, this house can really improve its strength. When Losey becomes a Jonin, and casually completes a few S-level characters, wouldn't the loan of several million be easily repaid? Most of the ninjas are based on this idea, and they take out loans to buy houses without any scruples. As everyone knows, even if there is the effect of Senju's real estate improvement, it is limited by each person's own qualifications. Naturally, what cannot be done. And where do so many S-level missions come from in the ninja world? Even if there are, how can you be sure that you can complete them instead of being killed by the opponent? So, the idea is good though, but it is basically very difficult to pay off the loan. At least, according to Boss Zhao's calculations, within 10 years, there may not even be 1 in 1,000 people who can pay off their loans. Is the calculation so accurate? Senju Kusanai's mouth twitched slightly, facing the question from his own boss. Boss Zhao said unambiguously, "Of course, as long as it's about money, I can't go wrong." The obsession with money makes Boss Zhao outstanding in calculation. Senju Kusanai just casually mentioned a few things about finance, and Boss Zhao is already better than Blue. Now Senju Kusanai doesn't even plan to get involved in the banking business. After the previous expansion, the value of Senju Bank has exceeded 300 billion. This is the result of Boss Zhao's enthusiastic management. Of course, there is also the reason why Senju Kusanai holds the direction. All in all, Senju Bank is thriving. As for Senju real estate, it is not resting on its laurels. Instead, it starts to involve more aspects. It's as if the previous Senju Mall was a very successful common sense, gradually changing the ecological environment of Ninja Village. Let everyone experience the charm of large shopping malls. And this time around, Senju Properties intends to involve 2 other large complexes. One is an office building, the other is Senju Hospital. Office buildings have not found a good buyer for the time being, which requires a large commercial company with enough employees. Currently Senju Starry Knight has not found a suitable buyer, but at Senju Hospital, he is ready to see Jian. The location, of course, is Konoha Village. The payment is naturally Konoha, and this money comes from the military expenditure allocated to Konoha by the Fire Country Daimyo. Senju Kusanai has absolutely no psychological burden on taking this money. Does the hospital you want to build really have the effects you said? The previous generation Hokage Sarutobi had a sick face and doubts. Just now Senju Kusanai took Senju Tsunade to build a new Konoha hospital. They didn't inform these old guys at all. If it weren't for the fact that Hokage Anbu still has a few of his eyeliners, I'm afraid they might not know about this until the hospital is built. This is undoubtedly ignoring these old guys. How can Sarutobi Hiruzen endure? Immediately pull the old friend Shimura Danzo to add to the block. That's right. I suggest you build a small one first to see the effect. Shimura Danzo squinted his eyes in disapproval. Senju Kusanai ignored the 2 old guys. Senju Tsunade said with a frown, "You too, now I am Hokage, and I have the final say." After finishing speaking, he turned around and pointed the back of his head at the 2 of them. The faces of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo suddenly pulled down. "It's all your fault. I told you you'd regret it," Danzo said softly in a low voice. No, Hokage is not me now." Sarutobi Hiruzen responded subconsciously, and then realized that he was no longer Hokage, and immediately growled in anger. "You have the ability to do it. You know how to encourage me every day. Let me take the blame. Losey is quitting. Do it yourself." After finishing speaking, he flicked his sleeves, turned and left. Gone. Danzo stared at the old friend who left with a dumbfounded 697, his face full of disbelief. "When did my old friend become so vulnerable? Can't bear to say a few words? Is this still my old friend?" But no matter what, Danzo who fights alone is definitely not the opponent of Senju Starry Knight and Senju Tsunade. You can't fight one-on-one, let alone 2 people. In desperation, Danzo could only leave 1 root member to keep an eye on the situation, and asked him to report to himself at any time, and then went back to the root to stay there. "These old fellows whisper in your ear every day, it's endless." Senju Tsunade's face was full of resentment. Obviously, they were annoyed by Sarutobi Hiruzen before. "At worst, you will withdraw their advisory positions. We don't take this kind of anger. If anyone refuses to accept it, you let him come to me. I'll see who dares to refuse." Senju Kusanai put his arms around Senju Tsunade's shoulders, comforting her in a low voice. "Don't worry, with me supporting you, if you have any ideas, just go ahead and do it boldly." Senju Tsunade raised his head, looking at Senju Starry Knight with blurred eyes. "Fortunately, you are here. Otherwise I would not be able to stay in this poor village. Then let us change this broken village together." Senju Kusanai hugged the woman in his arms tightly. Chapter 98. Family members continue to increase. Without the blocking of Sarutobi, Hiruzen and Danzo et al., Konoha Hospital was rebuilt. The new Konoha Hospital not only covers a larger area, but also has unique functions. Muai Hospital has the effect of calming the nerves and analgesia, which can reduce the pain felt by the hospitalized people and get a better rest. Not only that, staying in the hospital for a long time can make the injuries on the body recover slowly. With these two advantages, it was quickly welcomed by many patients. The prestige of Senju Starry Night and Senju Tsunade is further increased in the village. Senju Starry Night, who originally controlled Konoha's economic lifeline, was very popular, and now it is even more popular. As long as it appears on the street, it will immediately cause a crowd of girls to cheer and scream. It attracted those men's crazy envy and jealousy, but there was no way, because from all aspects of comparison, Senju Starry Night has surpassed them too much. The gap between the two sides is simply desperation. In times of peace, time always passes very quickly. In the blink of an eye, 5 months passed. During these 5 months, the entire ninja world wanted to appear very busy. The major ninja villages are busy making money to pay off their debts, constantly asking their ninjas to work overtime to generate income. And the ninjas are also very diligent, because each of them has already carried a lot of loans, because they have already purchased Senju real estate and become a family of mortgage buyers. Now, the ninjas from the 5 major countries have basically lived in Senju real estate and become customers of Senju real estate. At the same time, most of them have also become customers of the receiving bank. The various industries of Senju Starry Night can be said to be thriving. Also developed are the Senju Mechun delivery business and Kienli Waimai. The delivery business is similar to Senju Takeaway, but instead of selling food, it sells various daily necessities, or tools and props, etc. Senju Mechun's distribution sites are distributed in every town in the 5 major countries, and the items purchased by customers must be delivered to customers at the fastest speed. Regarding the behavior of Senju Mechun distribution sites in the 5 major countries, Kazekage, Tsuchikage, Mizukage and others feel uneasy. But after getting used to it, they found that they couldn't quit at all, because it is so convenient. You can buy everything without leaving your home, and you don't need to go out at all. These few industries can be said to make Senju Starry Night into the bucket of gold. But these are no longer the focus of Senju Starry Night. At this time, he was standing in the courtyard, with a trace of expectation in his eyes. Beside him are his 12 children, who are also looking forward to it. Because in the room, their younger siblings are about to be born. After being pregnant in October, the 5 Nakano sisters and Uesugi Saba entered the delivery room almost at the same time, ready to give birth. Senju Starry Night is looking forward to what kind of surprise these children will give him. Uzumaki Kushina was with him and the other sisters were helping in the room. Because there are 6 women who are about to give birth, the space in the delivery room is very large, and there will be no situation where many people will cause the mothers to have difficulty breathing. You don't look like you're in a hurry. Uzumaki Kushina looked at her husband, and the faint anxiety in her heart calmed down with the expectant smile on the corner of her husband's mouth. Because I believe they will all be born healthy, and with Tsunade around, I'm sure it'll be fine, Senju Kusanai said with a smile. Of course, Kienki and Kusanai trusted the system the most. With the system in place, how could children have problems? And there is Senju Tsunade, the #1 medical ninja in the ninja world, so even if there is an accident, it can be solved immediately. Indeed, with Tsunade-san here, it must be fine. Uzumaki Kushina also smiled. Father, how many more brothers and sisters will I have? Sanjunawu blinked curiously, looking forward to it. Although she already has 11 younger siblings, she doesn't think there are more younger siblings at all. There will be at least 6 younger siblings. Senju Kusanai lowered his head and patted Nawu's little head with a smile on his face. Senju's eyes widened in surprise, looking at the closed door of the delivery room with great anticipation. The painful groans of pregnant women when they were exerting force could be vaguely heard inside. Wow wow wow. Suddenly, the sound of a child crying came from the room. At the same time, the door was opened, and Uchiha Mikoto, who was helping inside, came out, said the delighted opponent Kusanai. One peanut, it's a girl. Senju Kusanai hurried in. He is responsible for looking at the children, selecting talents for the children, and naming the children. When I walked into the delivery room, I saw that there were people coming and going in and out of each compartment, and it seemed very busy. This is also normal. Fortunately, Senju Kusanai immediately brought all the doctors who are good at delivering babies from Konoha Hospital. Senju Kusanai did not stay, but followed Uchiha Mikoto to Nakano Kazuka's delivery room cubicle. As soon as he stepped into the cubicle, the prompt sound of multiple blessing system also sounded. Ding, Yinxi hosts 13th heir is born. Drawing special talents. Talent 1, slippery fruit. Talent 2, flower fruit. Talent 3, bubble fruit. Forehead. Senju Kusanai looked at these 3 choices and couldn't help but be taken aback. He had seen a similar selection once before. That is, when choosing talent for Tamamo. There was a fruit called thunder fruit, whose name seemed rather inexplicable. The actual situation is that thunder fruit is very capable, and his talent level can reach A level. But he also has a very obvious weakness, that is, he cannot touch sea water. I don't know if the situation of these fruits is the same as that of thunder fruit. If it's the same, Senju Starry Night doesn't really want to choose because the weakness is too obvious. Too bad Senju Starry Night doesn't have options other than that. You can only choose from these 3 options. Judging from the name, Hinuo couldn't tell which one would be better. The first, slippery fruit. What does this thing mean? Is skating slippery? How do you fight? Go first. Flower fruit. Is this about being a gardener? It is also unclear. The third one, bubble fruit. Blow bubbles? Senju Star Yoruichi is confused and doesn't know what to choose. It is really that these 3 options are too unclear, and I don't know how to choose at all. Forget it, just choose the second one, and at worst, I will be 10 gardeners in the future. Anyway, I can afford it. Talent, flower fruit. Grade, B, Cage level early stage. Talent introduction, Paramecia devil fruit ability. It can bloom its own limbs in the form of flowers anywhere, and even create a clone with the same strength as the main body. As a side effect of devil fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Chapter 99. Huh? Why are you still here? Isn't this the shadow clone technique? How can this be a B-level talent? Or did I not fully understand it? Senju Kusanai frowned slightly, and after seeing Nakano Yua's weak face, his already pale face became even more pale like a corpse. Husband, could it be that the child? Senju Kusanai regained consciousness and stretched his brows. Don't worry, the baby is fine. He looked down at the girl who was crying softly in his arms, thought for a while and said, just call her Senju Robin. When Nakano Yua heard that the child was fine, she immediately felt relieved. Afterwards, she was weak and immediately fell into a deep sleep. Senju Robin. Talent, flower fruit. B, Senju bloodline. C+. Qualification, B, Cage level initial stage. Senju Kusanai frowned slightly. Nakano Yakiko's status as the subjugated princess did not improve Robin's qualifications. B grade posture is the lowest aptitude among his children. But it's okay. From the perspective of talent and ability, she is not the type who is good at fighting. Then just be a princess at home. At this time, the introduction of the other 2 talents also appeared. Introduction to other talents. Slippery fruit, Class C, Paramecia devil fruit ability. The skin will become extremely smooth and tender. The friction force will be extremely low, and even attacks can be slipped away. Due to the side effect of the devil fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Bubble fruit, C+ grade, Paramecia devil fruit ability. Bubbles are produced from the body that can wash away any stains, and at the same time make the objects it touches extremely smooth, and people who touch the bubbles will become powerless. As a side effect of devil fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Judging from the results, the talent chosen by Kusanai is the best one. But judging from the description, Senju Kusanai still thinks bubble fruit is more practical. As long as they come into contact with bubbles, they will become powerless. So as long as the children focus on learning physical skills, they can easily overshadow many enemies who don't know the details. But since the system gives flower fruit a grade of B, there should be something unique about it. The tired child soon fell asleep in the arms of Senju Starry Night. Senju Kusanai gently placed the child next to her mother Yua, so that Yua could see the crystallization between her and Senju Kusanai as soon as she opened her eyes. Ding! The talent of the offspring has been determined. Random feedback. Host corresponding rewards. Congratulations to host, you have obtained random air talent +1. A reward for the birth of Senju Robin will follow. Infused into Senju Kusanai's body. Ding! The air is locked as Hand Lea's bloodline. Talent has been improved. C early Jonin, to C, middle Jonin. Senju Lea's Senju bloodline concentration has been improved, reaching the level of Jonin. But it is not enough. From Senju Kusanai's point of view, Senju's bloodline does not constitute combat effectiveness if it has not reached the level above cage level. Oh, there was a loud cry from next door. Senju Kusanai was shocked, and hurried to the next door. As soon as he arrived, the compartment door was opened. Hayugasagiri, who lowered her head, bumped into Senju Hoshiya's chest. Don't be in such a hurry. Senju Kusanai reached out and hugged Hayugasagiri. She goes into the compartment. In the cradle next to Nakano Nino, the boy who had just cut the umbilical cord was crying loudly. You can tell by the sound that it must be a healthy little guy. Ding! Congratulations on the birth of the 14th son of Host. Drawing special talents. Talent 1, Explosive Fruit. Talent 2, Cut Fruit Quickly. Talent 3, Spring Fruit. Why is it still a fruit? The corner of Senju Kusanai's mouth twitched slightly. CBDD. He suddenly had a bad premonition. Will the next ones be all kinds of fruits? This is too outrageous. No matter, choose talent first. Judging from the name, the third one passed directly. Spring Fruit. What is this? Is more pressure more powerful? Stop talking nonsense. The names of the other 2 fruits are very simple and clear. Explosive Fruit. It is obviously to engage in explosions. It is equivalent to carrying countless detonating charms with you. But the power of the detonator. 600 billion detonators didn't kill an Obito, so forget it. The name of quick/fruit is related to slash. Maybe it will turn the body into a blade, which sounds pretty cool. Talent, quick cut fruit. Grade, B level, Cage level midterm. Talent introduction, Paramecia Devil Fruit ability. The whole body can be turned into a strong blade, which can easily cut the opponent, and because the body can be turned into a blade, it can make the body have the hardness of steel. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. It was as expected, but I didn't expect that the body would become as hard as steel. Doesn't this mean that things like kunais and bunshuriken are ineffective against him? This fruit is much stronger than the previous flower fruit. Introduction to other talents. Explosive fruit, C+, Paramecia Devil Fruit ability. The whole body can explode as a bomb. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Spring fruit, C+, Paramecia Devil Fruit ability. The hands and feet can be turned into springs, and the power of the attack can be increased correspondingly through pressure. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Senju Kusanai nodded in satisfaction, then skillfully picked up the child. As soon as he hugged him, the child stopped crying, but opened his eyes and looked at Senju Starry Night, looking bright and energetic. From now on, you will be called Senju Daz. Senju Kusanai quickly thought of the child's name. With a steel-like body and deadly blades all over his body, it is simply a battle of charge and trap. At that time, we can arrange to practice gymnastics with Chen Bojun. Senju Daz. Talent, quick cut fruit, B, Senju bloodline, C, qualification, B level, Cage level midterm. With Robin's lessons learned, Kienzi Kusanai's qualifications are not expected, but Daz's talent is higher than Robin's, reaching B level. Among his children, the rank is still relatively low, but that's okay. Qualifications are just qualifications. In the future, there will be ways to improve the strength of children. For example, the soul-destroying weapon that Wang will forge in the future, and Ankh Sing's luminous cooking can improve aptitude. In this regard, Senju Starry Night is not worried. Ding, the talent of the offspring has been determined. Chapter 100 Endless, isn't it? Ding, the talent of the offspring has been confirmed. Random feedback host corresponding rewards. Congratulations to host, you have obtained random air talent +1. Or air talent +1? Senju Kusanai frowned slightly. He felt that there seemed to be an inexplicable pattern in the system this time. But whether it is what we guessed, we need to continue to read. I hope not. Ding, the descendant is locked. The Senju skeletal Senju bloodline talent has been improved. See early Jonin, to see, middle Jonin. Husband, how is the child? Nakano Nino's spirit looks much better than Yua's. Although she was weak, she still supported herself and sat up. Senju Kusanai hurried forward. He knew that Nakano Uro wanted to take a look at the child. Seeing the child's energetic eyes, Nakano Nino's eyes suddenly burst into laughter. He looks like you, she said with a smile. Senju Kusanai laughed. It's very similar to you. He gently handed the child to Nakano Nino, and taught Nino how to hold the child to make the child more comfortable. After all, Nakano Nino is a mother for the first time. Although she has seen a lot, she doesn't have many opportunities to practice it. Holding the child she gave birth to, Nakano Nino's face shone with a bright maternal smile, which was very dazzling. Whoa, a sudden cry broke the silence. Nakano Nino raised her head and said softly, "Go." Senju Kusanai nodded slightly. Take a good rest. Afterwards, he kissed Nakano Nino's forehead lightly, then got up and went to the cubicle. This time it was Miki Nakano who gave birth to the child. When Senju Kusanai entered, Tansanji was already so tired that he fell asleep. Seeing him coming in, Inuzu Kashu, who was holding the baby, quickly pouted and hissed. Senju Kusanai expressed understanding. He glanced down at the child. He's a healthy boy. He reached out to take the child from Inuzu Kashiwa's hand, and the prompt tone of multiple blessing system appeared on time. Ding. Delighted, host's 15th heir is born. Drawing talent. Talent 1, Door Fruit. Talent 2, Fruit of Slowness. Talent 3, Rusty Fruit. Really? Senju Kusanai showed a clear look. The talent selection given by the system this time is indeed regular. I am afraid that the choices of the Nakano quintuplets are all devil fruit. Is it because they are quintuplets? Senju Starry Night doesn't know what the reason is. But judging from the present, the talent of Yotsuba and Mei's children may also be devil fruit. Devil fruit is devil fruit. But it would be nice to have a fruit that looks strong like thunder fruit. It's not like the options he sees now. I don't know why. Door fruit? Is it for opening the door? Slow fruit? Make yourself slow? Or make others slow? It should be to let others. Otherwise this fruit is a complete negative effect. As for the rusty fruit, it's rusty, right? What's the use? Perhaps this talent will restrain Daz's talent. But choosing this is completely unnecessary. It's hard to choose. Forget it. Let's choose the only one that looks useful. Senju Kusanai frowned and thought for a moment, and finally chose the talent that could be useful from the name. Slow Fruit. Talent, Fruit of Slowness. Grade, B, Cage Level. Early Stage. Talent Introduction, Paramecia Devil Fruit Ability. A light wave that slows any object can be emitted from the hand, and the time of the slowed target will be very slow within 30 seconds. The light waves can be reflected by the mirror and hit the target in a surprising way, but it is also possible to self-defeating and irradiate yourself, causing yourself to fall into a slow state. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Slows the target's time flow for 30 seconds. It feels strong. Why B grade? Is it because of that light wave? Senju Kusanai frowned slightly. The speed is slowed down for 30 seconds. During these 30 seconds, he can completely kill any enemy. However, the system evaluates this talent only at the initial stage of cage level. The seemingly useless flower fruit is on the same level as this fruit. These devil fruits are really hard to get. Introduction to other talents. Door Fruit, B+, Paramecia Devil Fruit Ability. A door can be opened on any object, even a person. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. Asking for flowers. Rust Fruit, B, Paramecia Devil Fruit Ability. Can rust anything your hands touch to make it strong. As a side effect of Devil Fruit's ability, contact with sea water will cause the body to become weak. I missed it this time. Senju Kusanai clicked his tongue. Unexpectedly, the mediocre door fruit turned out to be the highest level talent among the three, and it can open the door on any object, even their human body. It's incredible. By the way, can you open the door on the air? Senju Kusanai couldn't help but think wildly. In other words, if this talent is given to the old Jiraiya, I am afraid he will only use it for one thing. Not only Menman fruit exceeded Senju Kusanai's expectations. 0. Rust fruit also looks strong. Objects can rust and become stiff just by touching them with your hands. If this directly touches the enemy's body, will the enemy just freeze in place and not be able to move? It's also a sneaky trick in combat. But slow fruit is not bad either. Your name? Let's call it Senju Fox. Your ability looks like a test of brain power. I hope you can make good use of this ability. Senju Kusanai said softly to her 15th son. Senju Fox. Talent, Fruit of Slowness, B, Senju Bloodline, C. Qualification, B level, Cage level initial stage. Low qualifications as always. Senju Starry Knight doesn't care. Ding, the talent of the offspring has been confirmed. Random feedback host rewards. Congratulations to host, you have obtained random air talent +1. Senju Starry Knight calm. He had already anticipated the content of the reward. Ding, the descendant is locked. As Senju Mad 3, Senju Bloodline talent has been improved. See early Jonin, to see, middle Jonin. Gently placing the child beside Senju, Senju Kusanai backed out quietly. Shoo, take good care of her. Inuzu Kashiwa nodded. Don't worry, just leave it to me here. Senju Kusanai nodded reassuringly and walked out. He just walked out. There was the sound of a child crying next to him. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.